This is Cap TV, Channel 35, serving Yakima.
Hey, program yearbook!
Hit the ball!
Get ahead!
High in the air to deep left field. A grand slam!
Get away,
From Candlestick Park in San Francisco, one of the best rivalries in sports, the Dodgers and Giants on ABC's Monday Night Baseball. The Dodgers, one of the most surprising teams in baseball. They lead the National League West by 6 games over the Astros, and they're 7 games up on the San Francisco Giants. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Bender. After 2 disastrous seasons, the Dodgers have been in first place for 2 months. That despite losing Alfredo Griffin to a broken hand on May 21st, and Pedro Guerrero having all kinds of problems with his neck. He's been on the lineup since June 5th. Joe Morgan, many people felt without Pete, the Dodgers couldn't stay in first place.
Well, Gary, I was one of those people that thought that they could not win without Pedro Guerrero. But the reason they have been successful is the play of Jeff Hamilton and Dave Anderson. These 2 guys were utility players. Now they're starting players, and they're performing very well.
The general manager of the Giants, Al Rosen, says the Dodgers are catchable.
Well, I agree with him, but it will take a team playing consistent baseball over a 4 to 5 week span, and no one in the West has been able to do that so far this season.
Well, the Giants have been very sporadic offensively, but remember last year they didn't get it together until August.
Well, on August 8th, they took off. They won 37 out of their last 53 and won.
A historic moment coming up on August 8th. The Cubs under the lights for the first time. They practice today under the lights. Let's go to Wrigley Field. Here is Al Troutwig.
And on August 8th, the Chicago Cubs will say, "Let there be electric light." The baseball tradition in Chicago consists of the old manual scoreboard, the ivy on the outfield wall, and a relatively quiet neighborhood on the north side of the city. But once again, tradition will collide with progress, and at Wrigley Field, progress looks like this. The new $5 million lights that were designed to aesthetically blend in with the design of the stadium and hopefully blend in with the neighborhood that for so long really hasn't wanted the lights to go up at all. I'm Al Troutwig at Wrigley Field in Chicago, and tonight the Chicago Cubs will practice under these lights for the very first time. In just a short while, they'll turn those lights on, and we hope to bring that to you. 5,000 people have paid $100 tonight to attend this first practice. It'll all go to charity, and all this attention is due to the fact that we've been waiting for lights for 53 years.
The first time they played baseball under the lights was 1935, when the Reds hosted Philadelphia at Crosley Field in Cincinnati. Were it not for World War II, it was a trend that would have included Wrigley Field. But the structures destined to hold the Cubs' lights were made of steel. The Wrigley family donated them to the war effort. The year after D-Day, 1945, saw the Cubs play in their last World Series versus the Tigers. All games were played in daylight as the Cubs lost in 7. 3 years later, Briggs Stadium, now Tiger Stadium, became incandescent as the last original stadium to add lights. Meanwhile, Wrigley remained as it was in 1914, lightless, as stars like Mr. Cub Ernie Banks were illuminated at home only through their efforts and the sun. For all the big plays of Banks and Billy Williams, the bleacher bums got tan, but never saw the Cubs win the big ones. 1984 was the Cubs' most recent chance, but 2 afternoon wins at home were not enough to help the Cubbies beat San Diego in the NLCS. By then, the pressure was already building as baseball, television, and Cubs management screamed out to turn on the lights.
Now, after all the political wrangling, the Cubs will play 7 home games this year under the lights, which is exactly the same number the Reds played their first year at Crosley Field under the lights. No more than 18 in any given season between now and the year 2001, and all the people in the neighborhood get special parking permits so that they don't feel as badly as they do. Now, joining me is Andre Dawson and Mr. Cub, Ernie Banks. Now, Ernie, you got to play many a day game here, never got to hit a home run under the lights. But tonight in the ceremonies, they're going to give you and Andre and Billy Williams and Ryan Sandberg a chance to poke the first home run out of here under the lights. You think you have it in?
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Al. It's a great thrill to be here and have this opportunity. I'm looking forward to playing with my partner, Andre Dawson. He's on my side.
Andre, the feeling is that the Cubs need this to help them perform better. It's been looked at in the statistics over the years that the Cubs have failed late in the season because they're so tired after all the games in the sun and the high humidity. Can this really help the team, do you think?
I think following a long road trip and you come in after a night game, it helps your body just recuperate a little bit longer. If you play a night game, following a night game, and I think that when you run into the heat and humidity during the summer months, it allows you to recuperate just a little bit more. And then, you know, when you get into postseason play, that thinking like somewhere somehow has to come into the picture.
Quickly, I know you came here to play day baseball. Is this okay with you?
It's fine with me. It will be within familiar surroundings, just under different circumstances.
Ernie, can you actually believe the day is finally here?
I can't believe it, but I'm really happy to see it. I think it's not the Cubs, it's not the Tribune, it's just a sign of the times, and I'm looking forward to having a happy time here at night at Wrigley Field.
All right, great, gentlemen. I can't wait to see who hits the first home run under the lights at Wrigley Field. We'll be back a little bit later with reports. They have not turned on the switch just yet, but we'll have reports throughout the evening. But right now, we return you to our live coverage tonight of Monday Night Baseball.
Ernie Banks, good to see him, wasn't it? Let's play two, huh?
Mr. Cook.
Yes, sir. Well, we have quite a rivalry here. It began 98 years ago, the Giants and Dodgers, way back in the days of Brooklyn and New York. It's Roger Craig of the Giants, Tom Lasorda of the Dodgers. And Fernando Valenzuela, who's gone 6 starts without a win, will be starting for the Dodgers. And Kelly Downs, very, very talented for the Giants, looking for his 10th win of the year. We'll be back with the start of the game in a moment. ABC's Monday Night Baseball. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by the Heartbeat of America, today Chevrolet. By AT&T, the right choice. By Kellogg's Raisin Bran. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just alike.
An ABC News brief. Now from Washington, Tim O'Brien.
Good evening. President Reagan said today the time has come for the U.S. and Iran to talk about Americans being held hostage in Lebanon if Iran is willing. That followed disclosures. The U.S. sent a message to Iran last week suggesting talks aimed at normalizing relations. A series of forest fires have burned some 40,000 acres of Yellowstone National Park. Later on Nightline, will giving clean needles to drug abusers help stem the AIDS epidemic?
What's that? He's got our flashlights. Over there.
Good, Monkey. But I said Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
So hard to get good help.
You used to have to rush like this to get to the rent-a-car line.
OJ, remember when you could do that?
What do you mean, could?
But with Hertz's #1 club, you go straight to the express rental counter, and you're off. And with Hertz's instant return, you can get your receipt right at your car. So relax. Hertz does the rushing for you.
Nothing slows her down. Or me.
Two scoops. You know what I wish, Stella? I wish Kellogg's would stop making Raisin Bran. Just for a day.
I know.
I can't keep up anymore.
I know.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran. They ought to call it Kellogg's Raisin. With all those raisins, that's what you're going to taste.
I know.
Taste the fruit of a raisin broker's labor. 2-scoop Kellogg's Raisin Bran. The cereal that tastes like raisins.
The fans' favorite pastime.
We want to keep it a good time for everybody.
At baseball stadiums across the U.S. and Canada, there's a new team spirit.
We want you to have fun at the game. We want you safe on the road. Because we want you back.
Everybody's pitching in to keep drinking from spoiling a good time.
Responsibility. That's the spirit.
So when you make your run for home, we know you'll be safe. Get the Team Spirit. Team techniques for effective alcohol management.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
This is the last stop on a long road trip for the Dodgers. They're 9-3 on this current road trip. They open a 4-game series against the Giants. They're 7 up on the Giants and 6 up over the Houston Astros. Let's take a look now at the starting lineup. Steve Sachs having a sensational year leading off. Franklin Stubbs will be at first base. Kurt Gibson, the big difference in the Dodgers, batting third. Mike Marshall will be in right field. John Shelby returning to the lineup after the eye injury. Mike Scioscia will be the catcher. Jeff Hamilton will be at third base. Dave Anderson, the shortstop, and Fernando Valenzuela, who hasn't won since June 14th, will be on the mound.
And the Giants defensively will have Candy Maldonado in right field. Brett Butler will be in center field. Mike Aldrete is in left field. Kevin Mitchell is at third base. Jose Uribe will be the shortstop. Robbie Thompson will play second base. Will the Thrill Clark is at first base. Behind the plate is Bob Melvin, and on the mound, right-hander Kelly Downs.
Kelly Downs, who's had 2 2-hitters and 2 3-hitters this year. A 9-8 record, and they feel that he might have the best stuff on the Giants staff. Very talented right-hander. Well, Steve Sachs getting ready to face Kelly Downs, and this is what he thinks about him.
Well, Kelly Downs, he has outstanding velocity, number one, on all of his pitches. Number two, his best pitch would probably be his split finger fastball. When he's throwing this ball over, he's really tough to beat. And I think, thirdly, he throws an excellent sinking fastball into the right-handed hitters. And when this pitch is working for Kelly, then he's probably got the best up on the club.
Steve Sachs over 300 average-wise as Downs warms up, and he's ready to go.
And I think Steve Sachs said it all, Gary. When Kelly Downs is right, there's not a better pitcher in the National League. He has just not been as consistent this year as the Giants would have liked. But he does have great stuff, probably throws the hardest on the staff, and, of course, has the best breaking ball on the staff.
Well, the guy that's going to be watching those breaking balls behind the plate is the crew chief, Doug Harvey, a good friend of yours, Joe.
Yes.
Jerry Crawford will be at first. Greg Bonet will be at second, and Bob Davidson at third. What'd you tell me? Doug Harvey calls everyone son?
Everyone is son. You ask him about a pitch, he says, it was a good pitch, son. There you see Fernando Valenzuela.
Well, when you think of the Dodgers, you think of Tommy Lasorda. And, hey, he's trying to get that guy ready to play at an early age, isn't he? Is he running for office?
Well, he signed an extension on his contract. He's looking for new players for the Dodgers in the future.
His contract extended through 1990 as well as the coaches. And he was holding court as he came down to Candlestick. His ball club playing extremely well. On the road now, they are a remarkable 32-16, 9-3 on this road trip. I think when you say they're surprising, that's an understatement.
Yes, I think that's correct. But I think the reason that they're in first place, you just mentioned it, the way they've played on the road. And I think that's what the other teams in the division are counting on to be able to catch the Dodgers, the fact that they've played so well on the road. I mean, if you look there, 32-16. I mean, that's 2 out of 3 on the road. That's almost impossible to continue over a whole season. And over a whole season, statistics will usually pan out and the percentages will come in. And I'm sure that the other 3 teams that are chasing the Dodgers, the Reds, the Giants, and the Astros, feel like the Dodgers will go into a tailspin on one of their future road trips, and that's when they'll have to overtake them.
The interesting thing about those numbers you just saw, one more win by the Dodgers on the road, and they matched their entire output of a year ago. So Lasorda was grinning from ear to ear as he came in here. His ball club started so effectively after the All-Star break. And Roger Craig, his counterpart, of course a former Dodger, pitched for the old Brooklyn Dodgers before they headed out west. And Roger's team, you've got to remember, really did not get above the 500 mark last season until August 8th.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, after August 8th, they played great baseball. They won 37 ball games and only lost 16. And that's great baseball down the stretch, and they just pulled away from the rest of the division.
Kelly Downs is a 27-year-old. He's 6'4". He weighs 200 pounds. He's a native of Utah, grew up in the Salt Lake City area. He's been kind of an enigma, hard to figure him out. He can be very, very good, or he can be very, very ordinary, almost to a state of frustration for the Giants.
Well, I think he has been a little frustrating to the Giants. However, when they see him pitch a two-hitter and one-hitters and pitch shutouts, as he's done the last couple of years, they're willing to wait on him to become consistent. And since this is the Dodgers and the Giants, you know, Sandy Koufax was not real consistent at the beginning of his career. All of a sudden, everything fell into place and became a great pitcher. And I think the Giants are counting on Kelly Downs to all of a sudden get over the hump and be consistent.
You see some pretty fast company he's with as far as the shutouts are concerned. Roger Clemens is going tonight for the Red Sox, so we'll keep you posted on all that activity back east. Well, these two clubs have 14 games remaining. They opened the season against each other. The Giants won opening day 5-1. The Dodgers won the other 3. And what's interesting about that, Joe, is these two clubs then will meet the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yes, and the last 3 games, I think, are in Los Angeles, or here at San Francisco, I should say. And I think they're hoping that those games will mean something. Right now, the Giants have to make up some ground. This is a very key series for them. They will be playing a 4-game series. They have to win, in my opinion, 3 out of the 4 ball games to get back into the race.
Well, Roger Craig said a split wouldn't help us. Well, tell me about Candlestick Park. You've played here. You always hear all the horror stories about the wind and all the problems that you could incur.
Well, it can be a great ballpark when the wind is calm. And as we can see, it's a very ordinary ballpark. 335 down left, 335 to right, 365 in the power alleys, and not too deep a center field of 400 feet. But where things change is when the wind is blowing. The wind can be very calm here, or it can blow straight out. And you can't always tell by the flag. As we see here, the flag is really not blowing very briskly. But all of a sudden, you'll look out there and the flag will be completely straight, blowing straight in from the outfield. There you see it whip up again. But that's what makes this ballpark tough. The winds change every 5 minutes.
Let us bring you up to date on something that happened yesterday in Busch Stadium in St. Louis. If you haven't watched, we're going to show you Will Clark and his feud at second base. We'll pick up the action. Clark headed to second base on a ground ball by Candy Maldonado. He slides, hits Jose Oquendo. You can see a little pushing, a little talking going on.
If there's any hard feelings that I have for Ozzie, it's I wish he'd had a little bit more guts and tried to hit me in the face instead of in the back of the head.
So Ozzie Smith coming from behind, he ended up with a split lip, as did Maldonado. But Will Clark actually playing the game tough. There was nothing dirty or illegal about the slide.
It was not an illegal slide. It was a hard slide into second base, and that's the way you play baseball.
Steve Sachs will lead off for the Dodgers. Franklin Stubbs to follow, and Kirk Gibson batting third. And Sachs just having an outstanding season, hitting .302 at game time.
And he's also been getting a lot of clutch hits. I think that is the difference between Steve Sachs this year and the last couple of years. Even when he was hitting for a high average before, he wasn't always coming through in the clutch. Now he's become a very good clutch hitter.
Well, he said he had the same feeling he had in 1986 when he was second in the National League in batting with .332. One strike on the leadoff man, Sachs. The Dodgers on top in the National League West. Alfredo Griffin is available for duty tonight. Strike 2.
That's the split-fingered fastball that Sachs was talking about. It sinks down and in on the right-handed hitter.
Sachs 3 for 4 yesterday. Had the Dodgers only 2 RBIs. 0-2, and he got him swinging on the outside, and it's a strikeout for Kelly Downs.
And just watching Kelly Downs, you can see that Steve Sachs was completely overmatched, as we'll see strike 3 here. Good slider on the outside part of the plate, sinking down and away, or it could have been a split finger. There's a lot of difference, not a lot of difference between those two pitches. The slider breaks hard away, and the sinking split finger goes straight down almost sometimes.
So 3 pitches, and Sachs takes the seat. Here's Franklin Stubbs hitting .200 at game time. Franklin with a grand slam home run this year. This may be one of those nights for Kelly Downs.
Yes, that's a good fastball there. That's the straight fastball, which he gets up around 90 miles an hour and above. And then he throws the sinking fastball, and then he throws the split-fingered fastball.
1 strike on Franklin Stubbs, and that's the first ball he's thrown. 1-1. They've been packing him in here. at Candlestick Park. A lot of excitement in the Bay Area between the Giants and the Oakland A's. First base, Will Clark easily. 2 down as Clark, after that altercation yesterday, had a little fire in his eye when we talked to him before the game.
Will always has a little fire in his eye, Gary. It was burning a little brighter today, but Will Clark is a guy that really loves to play baseball. He plays hard, he plays aggressively, and he does so both on the bases and at bat.
Here is the biggest difference in the Dodgers. This is the guy that's given the Dodgers a new toughness, Kirk Gibson. He's in the top 10 in 5 offensive categories. And Tommy Lasorda said before the game, I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was this good.
And I think he has turned out to be a real surprise for the Dodgers. I don't think anyone thought he was as good as he's played this year.
1-0 on Kirk Gibson. Gibson, of course, coming over as a free agent from the Detroit Tigers.
And I'll say it again, anytime you play for Sparky Anderson, you know what it takes to win. You know how to be a team player. And Gibson has brought that type of attitude here to the Dodgers, and I know that he has helped the Dodgers just with his attitude, and his bat has added a lot more.
And mental toughness, some of his football background. Outstanding wide receiver at Michigan State. 2-0 pitch. Hot the outside corner. 2-1.
Well, 2-0, you have to make a quality pitch to a good hitter like Gibson. And Kelly Downs does that right on the edge, down and away.
We're just underway now in the top of the first. 2 down. Gibson with a count of 2-1, evens it up at 2-2. There's Mike Marshall, who's having an outstanding year. Main thing about him, he stayed injury-free. He's missed only 1 game.
One of the things we'll find out earlier about both Kelly Downs and Valenzuela is how they are able to handle 2-0 situations, getting behind in the count. If Valenzuela gets behind in the count and doesn't make good pitches, he's going to get hurt. The same with Kelly Downs. And so far, Kelly has come back to Kirk Gibson.
2-2 to Kirk, and it's now full at 3-2. Kirk with 18 home runs, 53 RBIs. Fernando hoping that he can recapture some of that greatness he's had in the past. Looks a little different with the glasses.
Yes, he does.
3-2. He walked him. I think Downs thought he had a called third strike.
That's a tough pitch to take. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Normally, a left-handed hitter likes the ball down and in. Gibson gets this ball down and in, but he takes it for ball 4, according to Doug Harvey. And as you can see, Kelly Downs and Bob Melvin does not agree.
Well, Doug Harvey would say, son, that ball wasn't over the plate.
Yeah, that's what he said, son. That was a ball.
Here's Marshall. His numbers, very impressive. Playing right field after beginning the year at first base. 1 on and 2 down. Gibson is going. Swinging strike, the throw down, and he's safe. That is his 17th stolen base of the year.
Well, one of the things that Kelly Downs does is he gives you a chance to run. He's got a good move to first base, but he takes a little longer in his delivery to the plate. As you see here, Gibson's already gone before the ball's released. It's a good throw by Bob Melvin. As you'll see, it's right on the money. And Robbie Thompson's tag is just a split second late. The whole point is he stole this base definitely on Kelly Downs. As you can see, Bob Melvin can do no more than make a perfect throw, and he does that.
Gibson now in scoring position with 2 down. 1 strike the count on Marshall. Misses, and it's even at 1-1.
Most people are talking about Kirk Gibson, and rightfully so, but I tell you what, Mike Marshall has been the guy that saved them when Guerrero went out of the lineup. He has been able to hit behind Gibson and protect him, and he's also leading the team in runs batted in. So he's been really the guy that stabilized them after Guerrero's been out of the lineup for so long.
On the other hand, the Giants are having trouble finding a guy behind Will Clark.
And there is the tale of the 2 cities.
2 down, 1-1 on Marshall. Popped up. Clark battling the sun, and they get out of the inning. So Gibson is left on. Down. has gone a half inning, looking pretty effective.
If you're a business person and you're making a long-distance call, to call your customer, to call your supplier, before you hit that 11th digit, we've mapped out that entire call across the network, irrespective of where you're calling. You've got 21 different paths to get there. Okay, that's important from a reliability point of view. We've checked the quality of the circuit you're going to be on before you actually start speaking. We've done a service check. We're actually doing 75 million service checks per day, because that's how many calls we complete. I don't think most people realize that.
Chevy S10 invites you to own the street with the biggest engine ever offered in a compact pickup. The most V6 power and torque available in a compact truck. And a price to make your heart beat faster than ever.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
We go to the bottom of the first inning, no score. Let's check now the starting lineup for the Giants. Butler will be leading off. He'll be in center field. Robbie Thompson at second base. Will Clark, who's carried this team through most of the season, batting third. Candy Maldonado will be the right fielder. Kevin Mitchell will be at third base. Mike Aldretti in left field. Melvin, the catcher. Jose Uribe is the shortstop. And, of course, Kelly Downs is the pitcher.
And the Dodgers defense looks like this. Mike Marshall in right field. John Shelby is in center. Kirk Gibson is in left. Jeff Hamilton is third baseman. Dave Anderson is the shortstop. Steve Sachs is at second base. Franklin Stubbs will play first base this afternoon. And behind the plate, Mike Scioscia. And on the mound, left-hander Fernando Valenzuela.
The Dodgers really concerned about Fernando. His last appearance last Wednesday, he gave up 7 earned runs, 11 hits in 5 innings.
I think the problems have been in the first couple of innings for Fernando. He has had problems in the first 3 innings. When he's been able to get out of the first 3 innings, he's been able to pitch very well. His earned run average is 4.65 or something like that in the first 3 innings. After that, it's 2.66, which is very respectable. So the key to him will be how he gets through the first 3 innings.
Brett Butler to lead things off. Butler trying to butt his way on, but right back to Valenzuela, and that's an easy out.
It was interesting. I talked to a lot of the Dodger players and the coaches about Fernando and why he was having problems. The only thing they would not talk about was his lack of velocity, or if there has been any change in his velocity. They blamed it on control, the fact that his screwball was not working as well as it has in the past, and the fact that he was not getting inside as often as he was before. But no one mentioned the fact that his velocity has dropped off, so maybe that is not the problem.
Robbie Thompson up now, the second sacker for the Giants. That misses outside. Well, Lasorda also talked about the mechanics of Valenzuela. Robbie swinging through that one, and the count goes 1 ball, 1 strike. Robbie Thompson has been around the 300 mark most of the season. He would have played in the All-Star game, but elected instead to have some attention to that chronic back problem. Outside, 2-1.
What we see here from Fernando against Robbie Thompson is all screwballs so far. That's fine if you can throw them over the plate, but when you have to throw a fastball, then what happens?
3-1, he's behind,
and now he will have to throw a fastball, and we'll see where he tries to spot it.
Fernando's ratio of walks, strikeouts certainly have not been good this year.
He's going to try to go inside with the fastball.
He missed. Thompson's on. Well, let's get a closer look at Valenzuela. Steve Sachs has this thought.
All right, Fernando features a fastball. His famous pitch is a screwball, which moves down and into left-handers or down and away to right-handers. He has an overhand curveball. It's pretty much breaking straight down. And he also came up with a slider last year that he's throwing to left-handers now, which is pretty flat and breaks away from lefties and into righties.
That obviously was Will Clark, not Steve Sachs, as here comes Will Clark to the plate.
And he's getting a standing ovation from the home fans behind the plate. More for his act of yesterday than even the fact that he's done so well offensively this year.
A runner on with 1 down, fly ball left field. Hustling over. Gibson near the foul line, and it drops in. He misjudged it. Thompson makes the turn. He's on his way to third. They're going to get him. He is out at third. I don't know what happened to Gibson in left field.
Well, I think that the sun got him. I'm going to use that excuse until I see it again, because he seemed to be under the ball waiting for it, and all of a sudden you see he goes from light to shadows there. And let's see what happens. I think he just lost the ball. I really do. Going from the sunlight to the shadows, I think he actually lost the ball. But even worse is Robbie Thompson being thrown out here at third base.
It wasn't even close.
Will Clark was hustling all the way as we see Gibson comes up and makes an accurate throw to third base, which gets Robbie. Will Clark goes down to second, but the Giants should either have runners at second and third or first and second. You cannot get thrown out at third base on a play like that.
So Clark advances to second on that throw to third. There's two down now.
And it's scored as an error.
An error, of course, on Kurt Gibson. Maldonado at the plate. No score. Down at second is Clark. Line shot foul.
That's the first ball that he's thrown for a strike inside, and Candy Maldonado was able to get out in front of it. I'm not sure if we'll see a lot of pitches inside, but I think he has to come inside to be successful. You throw a screwball or a pitch that moves away from the right-handed hitter, and you have to keep him honest. If you throw all screwballs away, eventually they'll start to lean out over the plate. You have to be able to come inside to keep them honest.
Maldonado's tried to keep these pitchers honest, batting behind Clark. 2 strikes now as he fouls it down. Candy was taken out of the starting lineup for 3 days, and it made him angry. He's come back since that time to go 7 for 14.
Well, I think Roger Craig felt that Candy was trying too hard. He was pressing it a little bit, and he wanted to give him a couple of days just to clear his mind and get him started again. And so far, I think it's worked.
2 strikes on Maldonado. 2 down, a runner at second. Bottom of the first, no score. Misses outside, 1-2. 2 next, Kevin Mitchell, the third baseman.
One of the things that Valenzuela has to do is he has to throw the screwball for strikes, but he has to stay out in front or else they will not chase the screwball.
Misses outside, and it's even now at 2-2.
In the past, when Valenzuela was so successful, Gary, when he would get ahead of a guy 1 and 2, he could take the pitch and put the guy away. Now he does not seem to be able to put the guy away when he gets ahead or gets 2 strikes on the hitter.
2-2, 2 out. It's full now at 3-2. So Clark will be moving in the bottom of the first. Rounded foul.
There you see Valenzuela has to go to an off-speed pitch, meaning either a screwball or a breaking ball with a 3-2 count. In the past, Valenzuela, in this type of situation where he'd thrown a lot of screwballs and breaking balls, would come inside to a right-handed hitter because he'd have him looking for the screwball and he could bust him inside. Now I don't think he has enough confidence to come inside on the right-hander.
So here we go now. Full count again on Maldonado. Clark down at second. 2 out. Crowd starting now to perk up a little bit here, Candlestick. Called third strike. Maldonado looks back at Doug Harvey. Valenzuela gets out of a jam. No score after 1. We'll return to Candlestick Park after this message and a word from our local stations.
It's time for Lifestyles of the Original Party Animal with the Grand Poobah of Partyometry, Bud Light owns Bud McKenzie, as he's planning tonight's Big Bash. His fans watch as he pans his way to party elegance, a facial and massage, and Bud McKenzie is ready to party. And Spud parties with only Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
They're an unusual pair of co-stars. Tomorrow go on the set with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
And what's it like to take a hike on a bike?
We'll find out tomorrow on Good Morning America.
When it gets hot, people will do just about anything to stay cool. They don't care what it is, as long as it's quick. But the smart thing might be to get a heat pump, because it not only heats in the winter, but it keeps you real cool in the summer. And now the really quick way to get a heat pump is to call an H-Pro dealer. He's a certified expert in heat pump applications. So call today for the dealer nearest you and get cool in a hurry.
Finally, someone has done something about making the convertible affordable. A very special purchase of 10 low-mileage reconditioned 87 Ford Mustang convertibles has just arrived at Ron's Quality Cars. Now, these cars must be sold immediately. So, for the next 7 days, you have your choice of these gorgeous convertibles for only $199 a month. Let me repeat that. Your choice of 10 Mustang convertibles, only $199 a month. Now, this is the best price anywhere on cars like these, but you must hurry because this sale positively ends Wednesday, July 27th at Ron's Quality Cars, just 6 blocks south of Valley Mall.
For all your local sports, Bob Romero, News 35.
We've played one at Candlestick Park. John Shelby, Mike Scioscia, and Jeff Hamilton to face Kelly Downs. Shelby back into the starting lineup after that eye injury. He had an at-bat yesterday. Misses outside. Quite a bit of confusion centering around Shelby. They thought they were going to put him on the disabled list. Didn't, because the eye was coming around a lot quicker than they anticipated. There's a call strike, and it's 1-1. What happened is he fouled it down on the plate, bounced up and hit him in the eye. They're glad to have him back in there.
Well, I think they really need John Shelby. The Dodgers have not been hitting well over the last few ball games, but they've been getting great pitching, as the Dodgers normally do. And the pitching has been the thing that held them together on this last road trip.
How about the bullpen? 32 saves, matches their entire output of a year ago. 2-1, foul back, 2-2.
See the difference there between Downs and Valenzuela. When Downs gets in trouble, he can reach back and throw the fastball. At least try to get it to a spot inside or outside. Valenzuela so far has not used his fastball when he's gotten behind in the count.
Full now at 3-2 on Shelby. Shelby still with the longest hitting streak in Major League Baseball this year, going 24 games. The leadoff man in the top of the second. 3-2, and we'll do it again. Shelby is one guy who's responded so well to Tommy Lasorda. Rick Dempsey pointed that out, coming over from Baltimore, where he played with Shelby, that Lasorda kind of brought Shelby out of his shell.
He is a very quiet individual, real nice guy, but he's just a little bit on the shy side.
Now, here's something you're familiar with, some debris blowing around through Candlestick Park.
Well, it'll change directions 3 or 4 times before it crosses the field. That is a piece of paper. And I think that's what I was talking about. If you look at the flag now, it's blowing straight out to left field. We'll look at it again in about 5 minutes. It'll be blowing in the opposite direction, maybe.
3-2 again, and he got him. Well, that play in left field by Kirk Gibson was his 9th of the year, and it was just so surprising. I think he was as surprised as anybody.
Well, he didn't get over to the ball, and I really think it was because he couldn't see it. And as he comes into the dugout, maybe we'll be able to see what he says there. And I think when he's shaking his head, he's saying he couldn't see the ball.
Well, nobody's ready to play quicker than that guy is, and he's explaining now to Franklin Stubbs and Steve Sachs why it happened. It didn't hurt them. They got out of the inning anyway. Here is Mike Scioscia hitting .276 coming into this game. 1 down, top of the second inning. Scioscia, the quiet leader on this ball club, says that the Dodgers have the best bullpen since he's been with Los Angeles. 9 years. Second base, Thompson. Two away. Jeff Hamilton now will come up. Hamilton, of course, one of the amazing stories for this Dodger ball club. Playing third base with Guerrero out of there, and there's still talk of he remaining there at third and Pete going to first base.
Well, I'm sure Guerrero will play third base when he comes back. I mean, first base, I'm sorry, when he comes back. Because Hamilton not only has played well there, he's chipped in a little bit offensively, but he played very well defensively.
Left field. Hustling back, and it's over the head of the left fielder Aldretti up against the fence and into second base with a stand-up double. Here's Jeff Hamilton.
There you see a ball that was definitely affected by the wind blowing straight out to left field at that particular time. It was a line drive, and it just shot over Aldretti's head. He had no chance. You see him going back, but the ball is really just taking off. And I'd have to attribute a lot of that to the wind. It was just a normal line drive to left field, I believe.
10th double of the year for Hamilton brings up Dave Anderson. Aldretti, of course, playing left field since the trade of Jeffrey Leonard to Milwaukee. Your thoughts on that trade?
Well, I think the Giants wanted to get Aldretti's bat in the lineup more often because they needed some more offense, and at the time, Jeffrey Leonard was not doing the things that the Giants expected of him. And he was also in the last year of his contract.
1-0 now on Anderson. Well, the Giants have had to replace a lot of RBIs between Chili Davis and Jeffrey Leonard.
Well, I tell you one thing, the guy they got for Jeffrey Leonard, Ernest Riles, he's a player. I really like him.
Hamilton down at second with the first hit of the game, and the count now 2-0 on Anderson.
And Fernando's on deck, so they're going to pitch very carefully to Anderson. But Fernando's a pretty good hitter also. They use him as a pinch hitter quite often. So he's not an automatic out.
2-0 to Anderson, and he finds the plate. 2-1. Kelly Downs, they feel, has the ability to be their best pitcher for the next 4 or 5 years, coming into this game with a 9-8 record. Two-1 to Anderson, grounded foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, and a man at second. Well, Griffin, as we mentioned, is available to play. Sort of hesitant to start him, maybe just bring him in for a couple of innings. And, of course, Anderson, they may see a lack of playing time.
Well, I wonder if they would move Anderson over to third base for a little while and maybe platoon he and Jeff Hamilton, even though they're both right-handed.
2-2, just missed. Downs thought he had him, and it's full now at 3-2. Joe, the question you always have is, when you're going well, you don't want to mess too much with the chemistry. And with Guerrero coming off the DL soon and Griffin back, it's always a tough call.
Well, I think it will be a tough call for Lasorda, especially if they still have a comfortable lead when Guerrero gets back and Griffin comes back.
Struck him out. So 2 strikeouts in the inning. Third for the game. Downs, after giving up the double to Hamilton, gets out of it. Bottom of the second, no score.
Introducing a light potato chip with a country fresh flavor. New Pringles Light Ranch. And guess what it's missing? A lot of the fat in their regular potato chips. But you'll never miss it.
And it's missing a lot of their salt. But you won't miss it.
New Pringles Light Ranch, made with sour cream, buttermilk, and herbs for so much country fresh flavor.
You'll never miss what's missing.
Well, you know the bad news.
Charlie Carlson looks cool under pressure. But just because his shirt is dry doesn't mean he smells good. Because Under Armour odor is invisible, he needs Sure Solid. Sure helps protect against wetness and odor. So, Charlie, why go to work with a dry shirt and a false sense of security? Tomorrow, use Sure Solid and be just as sure about odor as you are about wetness.
I hear we have a new vice president.
Thanks.
but I've been waiting for a Bud Light.
If you want the one light that outshines them all, ask for Bud Light.
Come on, let me show you the kitchen. You've seen the bedroom.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Bottom of the second inning, Gary Bender, Joe Morgan from Candlestick Park. The rivalry resuming once again, the Dodgers and Giants. Kevin Mitchell will be leading things off, followed by Aldretti and Melvin. During the break in that inning, Lasorda out having a nice little social chat with Doug Harvey.
I have no idea what they could be talking about unless it's lasagna or something and an after dinner.
Well, I think it's
ball
pasta.
game meal.
Isn't it pasta his big deal more than lasagna? He's got his new contract now. He can probably treat Doug Harvey to that one. Ron Peronowski sitting down there. Now he goes over to talk to Roger Craig. Craig wants to know, are you inviting me as well? All right, back to the live action as Mitchell grounds it down into the dirt for strike one. Kevin Mitchell coming into this game hitting .247. He's been having a lot of problems with his hands. In particular, a thumb that's been bothering him. And, Joe, you pointed out to me so many times how tough it is to play with your hands banged up.
You can play with knee injuries. You can play with other parts of your body bothering you. But your hands are what makes you hit. That generates your bat speed. And without it, you're just not going to be a good hitter.
2 strikes on Mitchell. Aldretti and Melvin to follow. Bottom of the second, no score. Fernando Valenzuela, who in 16 times, 19 starts, he has failed to finish the game and hasn't won since June 14th.
There you see a shin guard protecting his left foot. He fouls a lot of balls down. And you see a lot of left-handed hitters wear that because they swing at the low inside pitch and they foul it off of their leg or their foot. You don't see a lot of right-handers do the same thing because right-handed hitters are normally high ball hitters and they do not swing at the low pitch.
Robbie Thompson wears one of those as well. Grounded, third base side. Hamilton, he has a great arm and he uses it. Well, we're going to switch sports for a moment. ABC Sports kicks off the NFL preseason live exclusive coverage of the AFC-NFC Hall of Fame game. The Cincinnati Bengals. Boomer Esiason taking on the league-leading rusher Charles White on the Los Angeles Rams, I should say. Action beginning live at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 Central, and 11:30 Pacific. Only on ABC. Also inducted will be Bolitnikoff, Ditka, Ham, and Page. Be a big day. Hard to say the Raiders. We were talking about the Raiders tonight. Al Davis, and who are they going to play at quarterback? Outside, and Fernando may have hurt himself a little bit on that pitch.
Well, a lot of times a pitcher will get his spike caught in the dirt and it doesn't give. And he has to try to get his balance back another way. Usually your spike just kind of glides through the dirt. There you see him look up into the sky. And he probably got locked there for a second.
Socha was concerned. He came out to see.
There you see he tries to turn his foot, and it doesn't really turn properly.
Anyway, during that break, Aldretti went over. Got some pine tar on the bat.
There you see Fernando Valenzuela. He works from the extreme third base side of the rubber. The reason he does that is he gets a better angle on the right-handed hitters for his screwball to break away.
Got it over for the call strike.
Steve Carlton, to show you another example, worked from the first base side because he threw the slider breaking into the right-handed hitter, and he got a better angle for his slider.
Grounded foul.
Those are the only 2 pitchers that I know of that go from one extreme to the other. But it really helps because if you're that close to the third base side, Fernando can get a better break on the right-handed hitter with his screwball.
That's what you were talking about earlier, Joe, how ragged he's been early, and then he gets better. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Aldretti at the plate. Third base side. Hamilton coming over, but he's going to run out of room.
Normally, Valenzuela is not as tough on left-handed hitters as he is right-handed hitters because he basically takes away his best pitch, which is the screwball, because most left-handed pitchers do not like to throw the left-handed hitter a screwball because the left-handed hitter is bailing away or pulling off a little bit, and the screwball's breaking into him. So he takes away his best pitch when you're left-handed.
2-2, grounded foul. Conversely, then, the Giants are not hesitant to be starting some left-handed batters.
Well, you're going to start Will Clark against everyone, but Mike Aldrete is starting because he is a good hitter, and because, as I mentioned, Valenzuela is not any tougher on the left-hander than he is the right-handed hitters.
Brett Butler, another left-hander.
I actually think Fernando's best pitch to a left-hander is the good hard slider that Will Clark talked about in the opening.
Full count now, 3-2. Fernando's only 27, but he's pitched a lot of innings. And some talk about that arm starting to wear out, as you see Melvin on deck. Foul back, still 3-2.
And that was a hanging slider from Valenzuela there. Fernando will throw you a curveball, a slider, or a screwball on 3-2, whereas Kelly Downs basically goes with the hard stuff, the good fastball.
1 out, 3-2 now on Aldrete, and he misses high. Well, there's a lot of excitement in the Bay Area about the American League, in particular the Oakland A's, who have the biggest lead in any division. Right now, the Yankees, who could move into first place if they would win tonight, trailing Milwaukee 2-1 in the fourth. Minnesota gaining some ground if they hang on there, 2-0 over Toronto. And Boston going for their 12th straight win. Roger Clemens is pitching in that ball game.
With him on the mound, they have a very good chance.
He's been more effective on the road than he has been at home. So Aldrete now down at first. One down. Bob Melvin, the catcher, up, and they've got him trapped. Got him picked off. The throw coming to Stubbs. Stubbs playing catch, and he's eventually run down by Steve Sachs.
You described that well. They're playing catch. That's not the proper way to handle a rundown. But they look completely confused, and there you see Roger Craig just shakes his head. Someone missed the sign. You see he's breaking on a hit and run. Melvin doesn't swing, so he must not have received the same sign as Aldrete. And you see Aldrete in a hot box, but eventually they wear him down.
So Melvin now, 1 ball, no strikes, 2 down. Aldrete in the dugout. Grounded foul, first base side. So the base on balls by Aldrete does not come back to cause Fernando any problems. They're going to score that last play, if you want to keep score with us, 2 to 3 to 4, and then 3 to 4. And they were playing catch.
It's not the left fielder's night so far.
Melvin grounds it down. 2-2.
Gibson's missed a fly ball in the left, and now Aldrete's picked off. There you see Gibson.
You go and tell him he made the error. I'm not going to.
He's standing in the shadows now, and there's a lot of sunlight out. Ball hit to his left. He'll have to run and pick it up into the sunlight.
That's going to drop in for a base hit. Melvin makes the turn, and he looked like he might think of going further, but he'll hang on with a single.
Doesn't that always happen? Right after there's a blunder on the bases or something, to retire a runner on the bases, the guy gets the base hit.
Jose Uribe now will come up for the Giants. First hit for San Francisco. 2 down with Uribe up. This guy, what courage he has shown. Uribe, of course, losing his wife to a very tragic incident. She's given birth to their young son and died of a heart attack. And he's come back and played very well despite all of that.
Well, I think he feels this is the best place for him. It keeps his mind off of the tragedies that have happened in his life.
Fouls it back. He brought out the lineup card tonight for the Giants. Pesky hitter, and you feel a vastly underrated defensive player.
Well, I think only Ozzie Smith is a better defensive shortstop than Jose Uribe.
1-1 on Uribe.
There you see he's learned to hit Valenzuela.
5 for 5, not bad, huh?
That's why I say it quite a few at-bats before you can tell if a guy's going to have success against the pitcher. You cannot usually tell in 5 to 10 at-bats. It takes about 25 at-bats.
1-2 on Uribe with 2 down. Down at first base with a base hit is Bob Melvin. See the shadows now starting to increase down the left field line. Game starting 5 o'clock here on the West Coast. 1-2. Center field. Short. Shelby having to hustle in. And that'll end the inning. So kind of an unusual inning. They walk Aldretti. He's picked up. Melvin singles, but still no damage. No score after 2.
Hello. Ed's relatives are still with us and have become big fans of our Bartles & James premium wine coolers. His cousin Mason says our Bartles & James Original Premium is the finest product of its kind, bar none. His grandnephew Wyman says he prefers the lively, fresh berry taste of our Bartles & James Premium Berry. Well, these James family arguments can get pretty heated, so I'm staying out of it. Thanks for your support.
Fixing this water damage will cost $1,200. Could I have prevented it?
New improved Thompson's Water Seal could, with 50% more active ingredients for better waterproofing on wood, brick, and concrete. Thompson's Water Seal, a great defense against repair expense.
Into the land of heartburn comes the first liquid antacid without that liquid antacid taste. A really good-tasting liquid that puts out heartburn's fire. New Tums Liquid. It works. It really tastes good.
A lot of folks drive off on vacation without knowing what to do or who to turn to if they run into trouble far from home. I'm State Farm Agent Steve Rose, and my policyholders know that almost anywhere they travel, they'll find a State Farm agent nearby, ready to help them get back on the road. It's part of the good neighbor service we're so proud of. For auto, home, life, or health insurance.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This is Al Trautwig live at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Let the record officially show that the lights first officially came on at Wrigley Field at 7:45 Central Time. They've tested them a handful of times before, but tonight, under the lights, the Cubs will take batting practice for the first time officially. We'll have more later. Right now, back to Gary Bennett.
Al, thank you. Kind of funny, isn't it? Isn't it strange to see lights in Wrigley Field?
Well, I guess it will be when I first get there. But I tell you what, I think, as Ernie Banks said, it's not the Cubs, it's just the way that baseball has progressed. And they need lights in Wrigley Field to stay, in contention. I think Andre Dawson also said it very well. He said they'd come off a long road trip and have to go out and play baseball at 9 o'clock in the morning. It makes it awfully tough.
Well, they're going to have the All-Star game there in a couple of years. Valenzuela to lead things off. And Uribe comes charging in. 1 down. That'll bring up the top of the order now. Steve Sachs, who struck out back in the first inning.
And as I said before, Valenzuela is not bashful at the plate. He's actually a pretty good hitter. Anytime a hitter, starting pitcher, can hit over 200, that means he's a good hitter. And he was hitting 205 starting tonight's ball game. 300, as a lot of people think, is the barometer for a regular hitter. And for a pitcher, 200 is a good statistic.
Sachs taking his time to get to the plate, give Fernando a little time to get back, catch his breath, get in the dugout. Sachs will be followed by Stubbs. This Los Angeles Dodger team so effective on the road. They'll have 15 games on the road after this 4-game series with San Francisco. Thus far, they've won 9 and lost 3. All strikes.
There you see the flag in center field. We saw it blowing directly out to left field 5 minutes ago. Now it whips up again. That's what you have to contend with in the outfield, and that's one of the reasons I think Kurt Gibson had problems with the fly ball in left field.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out on Sachs. Grounded foul, 1-2.
Steve Sachs has been swinging the bat exceptionally well. Here you see in July he was one of the top hitters in the National League at 347. Right below him is Kirk Gibson. He's hot also.
Well, this team is second in hitting in the National League after being so bad a year ago. That's one of the many areas the Dodgers have improved in. Are they having a convention down there? Bill Russell down there along with Lasorda. That's going to make it in the left field corner. Sachs rounding first. He'll go for two, and he'll make it easily. So Sachs with a double with one down, and that'll bring up Franklin Stubbs.
What happens is Mitchell is playing in, as you can see, protecting against the bunt, and Sachs hits a shot between him and the bag, and he cannot move over to cover it. He can only make one step and a dive, and the ball is past him. That's one of the things that happens when you bunt a lot, as Steve Sachs does. You make the third baseman play in, and you hit the ball by him.
Sachs always has been a good bunter. That's his 11th double of the year. One out, a runner in scoring position. Stubbs, who grounded out unassisted to first base the first time, and he'll wait now while the wind blows some debris around home plate.
There you see Jose Uribe is playing almost up the middle of Franklin Stubbs, which means he's a pull hitter, and it also means that they will probably try to throw him a lot of off-speed stuff and also pitch him inside. That's the type of pitches he will see in this at-bat. Breaking balls down and in, and also fastballs in. We're going to look at the pitch here. It's a split-fingered fastball, and it's low and in, and he can't handle it.
Of course, the guru of that split-finger fastball is Roger Craig. He's affected a lot of players, helped their careers. Mike Scott in particular with Houston. One strike now on Stubbs. Now back. Dodgers have picked up a couple of doubles in this game, one by Hamilton, and now Sachs is down at second base.
And if you're a hitter and you look around, you see how the defense is playing you, you can almost, in your mind, know exactly how the pitcher is going to pitch you. As I said, looking out, you could see Uribe playing up the middle. You knew they were going to throw him off-speed stuff inside and also throw him fastballs inside. And the first two pitches have been an off-speed pitch inside and a fastball inside.
0-2 now on Stubbs.
And they're staying inside again.
Uribe trying to hold Sachs close at second. Outside, 1-2. Downs made his major league debut against Fernando back in 1986. He lost that ball game 2-1. Right now, 0-0. One and two inside, and it now evens at 2-2. Gibson, who the first time was walked, able to steal a base. Two up next. So down gets Stubbs. That's his fourth strikeout of the ball game.
They are throwing him off-speed stuff and fastballs all on the inside corner. There you see Melvin set up inside for it, and he throws him an off-speed pitch. That looked like a split finger. And Stubbs was not able to catch it.
And they're going to intentionally put Gibson on. They'll pitch around him to bring up Mike Marshall. Sachs now trying to draw a throw. He did. Almost got him. That was very close. Joey Amalfitano, the third base coach, yelling something down at second now.
Well, there's no reason for you to even take a big lead at second base. I mean, you're not going anyplace. They're going to intentionally walk the hitter, and there you see a very close play at second base.
You see the play the other day, Benito Santiago, the Padres, tried to pick a guy off during an intentional walk.
He's got a shotgun for an arm, so he has a chance of doing it.
Cost him the game against the Cubs. So it's 2-0, so Gibson will walk.
There was an incident like this last year that prompted an almost fight between Mike Marshall and the rest of the Giants. They walked him a couple of times intentionally to get to Pedro Guerrero. They walked Pedro Guerrero a couple of times intentionally to get to Mike Marshall. And in an extra inning ball game, he hit a home run, and he ran around the bases pointing fingers at Roger Craig and the other Giants in the dugout. And we'll get another look at Steve Sachs play.
He's trying to draw the errant throw. Didn't happen. Almost got picked up. That's the 12th time that Gibson has been walked intentionally this year. 46th walk overall. Second tonight. So runners now at first and second, 2 down, and Marshall at the plate. Marshall having a good year, coming into this ball game with 57 RBIs. That's top 10 in the National League. Chance to do some damage. Ooh, he got ahead of that one, got all of it foul.
Well, it's unusual, even though Marshall is a right-handed hitter and you have a right-handed pitcher on the mound, to walk Kirk Gibson this early in the ball game, especially 0-0. And Marshall does lead the Dodgers in runs batted in. And there you see, last week, Marshall was one of the hottest hitters in the National League. So I'm not sure that this is the best thing to do under the circumstances.
1 strike on Marshall. Short right field, Thompson drifting back. So the strategy pays off. Intentionally, they walk Gibson. Marshall pops out. We have no score. A candlestick.
Hundreds of dollars less than Celica 200SX and Prelude. The dust is settling.
That's him. It's just noon their time.
Yes, sir. Listen carefully. If we don't make 500 cases of the burgers by Monday, we'll lose their account. I'll call back later.
So? He said if we don't make 500 cases of the burgers by Monday, we'll lose our account.
This won't happen if you use our free phone card. For fiber optic long distance that sounds the best and costs less, call 1-800-US-SPRINT.
You know what this party needs? Buzz McKenzie. Come on, baby, do it now, Buzz McKenzie. His name is Buzz McKenzie. Party, party. With the party shifting right. Come on, Buzz. What's in a party frenzy?
Buzz McKenzie parties right with only Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
Buzz gives motion to the ocean.
The 2 top teams in the NL East battle as the hard-hitting Pirates meet the New York Mets. Or the Astros take on the San Francisco Giants next week on ABC's Monday Night Baseball.
Bottom of the third. Well, the best line of the week revolves around Eddie Murray, the first baseman of the Baltimore Orioles. He wreaked havoc against the Minnesota Twins, going 3 for 3. 5 RBIs in the ball game, and his bat, seemingly, Joe Morgan, has come alive.
Well, I think Eddie Murray is very important to the Baltimore Orioles, and if he can get hot, they can make up a little ground and finish respectively after that horrible start they had this year.
So that was the best line of the week. The dreaded worst line of the week coming up later. Kelly Downs will lead things off for the Giants in the bottom of the third, and Fernando starts him out with a strike.
One thing about Fernando, the longer he goes in this ball game without being scored upon, the better he will become, because his confidence will get stronger with each and every inning, because he was racked up pretty hard his last few times out.
Downs hitting .211, pretty good hitting pitcher, fouls that one down the right field line. I think it just further develops, Joe, the remarkable year the Dodgers are having. Here's Fernando below 500, Sutton on the DL, Griffin out, Guerrero out, and they're still in first place.
Well, you have to attribute that to Tommy Lasorda. He's done a great job managing the Dodgers this year.
Swinging third strike, and Socia has to go down to first. Second strikeout in the ball game now for Valenzuela. Well, you mentioned Lasorda. It's been said that he has just masterfully used his 24-man roster.
Well, I think he's prepared his roster properly for what has happened. He had the right number of utility players available. He's had the right guy to answer every injury that has occurred to his ball club. And I think that's what a manager's all about, getting his ball club prepared for any adversity that might occur during the season.
One down, Butler's up. He tried to bunt his way on the first time. He's had 11 bunt hits this year, including 9 of his last 10 prior to the first inning. So with one down, he'll be followed by Robbie Thompson. Stubbs. Valenzuela, he won't get there in time. So Butler using his speed very effectively.
That's a play where I think Franklin Stubbs has to let the second baseman make the play. Watch, we'll see him go way over into Steve Sack's territory here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps into his territory. The ball was not hit very sharply, and Sachs would have been able to back up the play. It's tough for the pitcher to be able to beat a speedy runner to first base, especially a left-handed pitcher, because he falls off toward the third base side of the mound.
So Butler is on with one down. Here comes Robbie Thompson. That is his 1,000th career hit, and that's what all the response is about here at Candlestick Park. Butler, of course, playing at Atlanta, last year with Cleveland, and now with San Francisco.
Fernando has a good move to first base. He's not very easy to run on, but if you know his motion, you should be able to figure it out and get a good jump, because he does have a high leg kick, but he's very deceptive in when he's going to the plate and when he's coming to first base.
Butler this year, 23 stolen bases. He has been caught 11 times. He has been the kind of guy each year that's been very consistent on the base paths. 4 straight years he's able to steal 30-plus for the Cleveland Indians. Fernando back again.
And that's not his good move. He's just stepping towards first and throwing over there. He has a lot better move than that. He's trying to lull Butler to sleep there.
Thompson still waiting for the first pitch from Fernando. One down. No score. We're in the bottom of the third inning. Joe, when you're over there and you are watching Fernando, what are you watching in particular? Anything?
Well, you have to watch his front side, meaning his right leg and his, right arm. You don't watch his left side. What happens is he'll have to take his leg back to generate some power to go to the plate right there. And when he comes to first base, he just steps over there. It's a shorter step. So you really have to watch his front side, because it has to close to come to the plate, and it steps towards you to go to first base.
So Fernando now 1-0 on Thompson. One down, Butler at first. Hits are even in this game as Fernando goes to Stubbs again.
Watch his right hip. He doesn't close it when he comes to first base. And to come to the plate, he has to close it to get some momentum to go to the plate. It's a very thin line in whether he closes to go to the plate or whether he steps towards you to come to first base. That's what base stealers get paid for, being able to read that movement. See how he closed there?
That goes through Hamilton into left field. Butler makes the turn at second. He'll hang on. We have runners at first and second with one down. Hamilton just couldn't get the glove down.
Well, I think he felt the ball was hit sharper than it really was.
Third hit of the ball game. Will Clark, who hit that fly ball that was misjudged by Gibson back in the first inning, reaching on an error. Runners at first and second. Butler down at second. Thompson at first. Left field, and it's hooking foul into the stands. Clark with a 3-run homer yesterday and the chance to do that again today.
Sorry, Gary. He gave Will another slider away, and Will was going with the pitch again. That's the pitch he hit the fly ball on in the first inning, a slider away. And as I mentioned, I believe that is his best pitch against the left-handed hitter. It's a good, hard slider he throws.
Clark looks down to third base coach Bill Fahey. Leads the National League in RBIs. Clark does with 74. 0-1 pitch. Boy, he just kind of floated that one up there. It evens at 1-1. Mentioned Clark. He's tied with Davis. They're also tied with 22 home runs. Van Slyke and Bonilla. What a story he's been this year for Pittsburgh.
If you watch Mike Scioscia, he's trying to fool Will Clark at the plate. He pats his glove inside, and then he sets up outside. He's trying to keep Will Clark from thinking with him and knowing what the pitch is.
Clark backs out. Everybody goes back to the bag.
If you're a left-handed hitter and you're hitting against Valenzuela, and you know the catcher's set up inside, you know it's going to be a fastball because he's not going to throw anything soft inside to a left-handed hitter.
Will Clark at the plate. 1-1 the count on him. 1 down, 2 on, and a slow breaking pitch misses, and it's 2-1. That one was on our radar gun, 65 miles an hour.
Well, it's really not the speed in this case that was going to affect Will Clark. It was going to be the break of the ball, and it didn't break very well.
That's Maldonado due up next. Fly ball, right field foul.
And that's one reason that a left-handed pitcher normally does not throw his screwball to left-handed hitters. You watch this pitch, it's coming inside on Will Clark. It's a screwball that comes in, and Will nails it.
Boy, he's got a nice swing, doesn't he? So compact. They call him the natural.
He's got a nice arc to it. That's why he's able to hit home runs. He's got a little uppercut in his swing.
35 a year ago, 22 this year.
Not a big uppercut, but just a slight uppercut.
2-2 with 1 down and a pair of runners on. Left field, they could be trouble. Going to drop in for a base hit. Butler will score, and we have runners at first and second. '75th RBI for Will Clark.
The breaking ball, and he's fooled by the speed, but he stays back and just uses his hands and flips it over shortstop. And he drives in his 75th run of the season.
3 straight singles by the Giants have produced the first run of the game.
You see the breaking ball. You see it's down and away. It's really a good pitch from Valenzuela. I think it was a little too soft. It gave Will Clark time to check and swing.
Are they appealing at a bag here?
Well, you have to set up.
Yeah,
after time is called, you have to set up like you're going to throw a pitch to the hitter and then step off the mound.
They want to see if Butler touched third when he rounded the bag, and he was safe. So he did. I didn't think it was even any type of an appeal at all. Looked to me like he had it all the way, but nothing. Doesn't cost any more to try it anyway.
Well, it's not Bob Davison's call. You didn't see him make a call. It's the home plate umpire's call. They rotate around, as you saw Doug Harvey made the safe call.
So a run is in, and Maldonado swings at a high pitch for strike 1.
Even though Bob Davison is a third base umpire, when a ball is hit shallow into left field, he goes out to make sure the outfielder doesn't trap it. and it's the third base umpire's job to go up and make sure the runner tags third.
4 hits for the Giants, 1 run, and 3 straight singles in this inning. Maldonado, center field. Shelby going back, still going back at the warning track, and he makes the catch. The runners will have to come back. Thompson is all the way down at third.
And what a catch. That was a great catch. And it didn't unfold to be a great catch. He goes a long way for this ball. Look, he's just running straight away. And the toughest play to make in an outfield is a ball hit directly over your head. I mean, this is a great play.
Well, that eye isn't bothering him at all, is it?
It's a high fastball. Maldonado gets a good portion of it. But Shelby makes a great catch in center field.
2 outs. Mitchell comes up. He grounded out the first time. The run is in. Still runners at first and second. And Mitchell is trying to send Shelby deep again. This is a burly guy. Mitchell, of course, coming over in that trade with the Padres a year ago. Played on that team with the New York Mets. Coming over in a trade to San Diego for Kevin McReynolds. 2 out, 0-1 on Mitchell. One and one. Fernando threw that one pretty hard. Talked about Shelby's catch, Joe. That's one of the areas of improvement this year for the Dodgers defensively. They played so much better.
And that's been the reason that their pitchers have been able to perform so well.
Shelby missing 4 games with that eye injury, making an appearance yesterday and back in the starting lineup today. Third base, Hamilton bobbles it. Everybody's going to be safe. The bases are loaded.
And immediately when you talk about their defense,
I was afraid you were going to bring that up.
There's an E5. We'll get another look at it here. He just does not stay down on the ball. He's coming up to throw to second base too quickly. This is a breaking ball that Mitchell gets jammed a little bit on. He waited a little too long, and there you see Hamilton getting ready to throw to second base, and he can't make the play.
That is Hamilton's 10th error of the year, and I was just going to substantiate my cause a moment ago. Last year, the Dodgers committed 155 errors, 188 the year before. Coming into this game, they had 74, now 75. So the bases are jammed now with 2 outs. Aldretti, who walked and then was picked off of first, comes up to the plate. Thompson at third. Clark at second. Mitchell at first. 1 run is in. Strike called.
These are the types of situations in the last 6 ball games that Fernando has not been able to get out of. Whenever the opposing teams have been able to get men in scoring position, they've been able to pick them up.
Of course, in all fairness, he should be out of this inning.
That's true, but he's still pitching, so he still has to get the guy out.
Strike 2 call. 0-2 on Aldretti.
On the scoreboard, it doesn't matter whether it's an earned run or not. If he gives up a base hit here, the Dodgers will be down 3-0, so it doesn't matter that they're not earned.
Left field, Gibson coming in. He's got it. That ball hit pretty hard by Aldretti on a line to left field, so they leave the bases jammed. However, they pick up a run. And after 3, the Giants lead it 1-0.
You've just been caught knocking off the Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran. How do you handle the consequences?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran?
Who, me?
Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran? Did you eat all the Cracklin' Oat Bran?
I didn't do it. I did not do it. No, absolutely not.
With the crunchy sweet taste of Kellogg's Cracklin' Oat Bran, an open box is an empty box.
Downtown.
2:30 a.m. Empty city. Empty streets. At times like this, you really appreciate how good Mr. Goodwrench is. He has the high-tech electronic equipment to analyze and adjust your high-tech General Motors car so you can drive with confidence anytime, anywhere. Mr. Goodwrench, no one knows your GM car better. No one.
Now, a revolution in blade shaving from Remington, the new Remington Electro Blade, with vibrating blades for a close, smooth, comfortable shave. Safe, immersible, and cordless. The new Remington Electro Blade vibrating blade system.
Yes, sir.
Listen carefully. If we don't make 100 cases, by Monday we'll lose the account. Go back later.
This won't happen if you use our free phone card. For fiber optic long distance that sounds the best and costs less, call 1-800-US-SPRINT.
This is Corey McFerrin in New York. Darryl Strawberry, top of the fourth inning, a long home run. His 26th. Kevin McReynolds had homered moments before. Back-to-back homers puts the Mets in front of Philly. 2-zip score in the bottom of the fourth.
Leading the National League. Here is John Shelby leading things off. What a tremendous catch he made in the bottom of the third inning. It could have been a big, big inning for the Giants if he hadn't hauled that one down. Shelby leading things off, followed by Scioscia and Hamilton. Top of the fourth, 1-0 San Francisco. Let's go back, Joe. This shows you how tough it can be, the winds in Candlestick Park.
The wind just pushed this ball away from Shelby. And I mean, watch, he makes a great catch. The Giants would have scored a couple more runs in that inning if he would not have made that great catch.
Shelby now, as it usually happens, you make a big defensive play and you lead off the next inning, right? Foul back. 0-2. What a trade that was for the Dodgers. Tom Niedenfuhr sent to the Baltimore Orioles for this guy.
There you see Tom Lasorda. He's yelling encouragement to John Shelby. I had an interesting conversation with him before the ball game, and I was teasing him. I said, I read an article the other day, and they say Whitey Herzog and Sparky Anderson were the two best managers in baseball. I didn't see your name listed. His answer was they didn't have to tell Richard Burton he was a great actor, did they? And I have to agree with it.
Well, to follow up on that, everybody thinks this is the best managing job Lasorda's ever done.
I agree.
1-2 now on Shelby. Got him. So Shelby down on strikes. ABC's Monday Night Baseball. This ABC Sports Exclusive is being brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. One down, top of the fourth. Here is Mike Scioscia. 5 strikeouts in the ball game now for Kelly Downs, as Shelby has been struck out twice. That one bounces up there, 1-0. You look at this National League West. The Astros looked like they were out of it for a while. Then they won 6 straight before losing yesterday. Scioscia hanging on, 2-0. The Astros, you think, have a real shot at it because of their pitching.
Well, when you have a Nolan Ryan, a Mike Scott, and a Bob Knepper, all 3 of those guys can go out and win, 4 or 5 starts in a row. And they also have Deshays, who's doing a good job, and Danny Darwin is a good pitcher. So they have the pitching to be able to catch the Dodgers.
Center field not near as deep as the one Shelby had to haul in. This is Brett Butler, and there's 2 outs. 2 games underway now in the National League as we talk about the race. The Mets, we saw the update a moment ago. Strawberry, McReynolds with a home run. St. Louis, Pittsburgh 1-1. A lot of people feel, Joe, that the Pirates, who have never really been in a race down the stretch with that young ball club, might feel some of the pressure a little bit later.
Well, I guarantee you they will. I think Jim Leland, the manager, made a great statement. He said if we lose to the Mets, it will not be because they have the better athletes. It will be because they're just not ready to win a pennant yet. And anyone that tells you that it's not any different playing in September than it is in April has not been in a pennant race. But there is a big difference.
Swinging strike for Hamilton. Hamilton doubled back in the second inning. Well, what is it Reggie Jackson said? He said the base paths get a little bit longer. The ball looks a little bit smaller. Everything starts to tighten up a little bit.
I have to agree with him because I know that the pennant races, when you get down the stretch, it separates the men from the boys, as they say.
One strike on Hamilton. Evens up at 1-1.
But I do think that Pittsburgh is capable of winning the East. I think the Mets are going to have to beware. As you can see, they're only 2 games behind, and they do have a lot of talent in Pittsburgh.
Chicago was making a move until the Dodgers took 5 from them. There's fly ball, right field. Maldonado looking into the sun, and it's an easy inning for Kelly Downs. 3 up and 3 down. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning. San Francisco leading, National League West leading Los Angeles Dodgers.
The Clydesdales, the symbol of Budweiser quality, of Beechwood aging, the choicest natural ingredients, and a genuine commitment to freshness and taste. One beer lives up to all this. Budweiser.
Radio Shack puts the power of business computing in your home and saves you $300. The powerful 286 Tandy 1000. Now only $11.99, including color monitor. You save $300. It's PC compatible, easy to use, comes with 7 ready-to-run programs for the family. To keep a budget, write term papers, or even do filing and create graphics. Complete Tandy 1000 system with color monitor, only $11.99. Only at Radio Shack.
This is how it's done today. This is how it's done today.
Stay at Howard Johnson this summer. You could win up to $50,000 cash.
This is how it's done today.
When you need tools, any kind of tools, for every kind of job, one name gives you more good choices than any other. Craftsman.
You're always better clean. It's as easy as ABC.
Candlestick Park, San Francisco, and right now the Giants with a 1-0 lead. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Melvin, Uribe, and Downs, and there is a guy who's been quite an architect of the San Francisco team. And everybody feels was the big difference, and obviously was the difference as they won the National League West. Alfredo Griffin, he's eligible to play now, off the DL after breaking that hand May 21st when Dwight Gooden hit him with a fastball. He's got a front row seat, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's Mario Soto sitting next to him, and the Dodgers are counting on Mario to be able to help them down the stretch.
1 ball, no strikes on Melvin, who's single back in the 2nd inning. The catching situation for the Giants has really concerned Roger Craig. Bob Brenly, this guy, Bob Melvin, and at one time, Kurt Manwaring, who they called up from Phoenix, to try to somehow collectively get the job done.
Well, last year, that's exactly how they won the West. They had Bob Melvin and Bob Brenly doing the catching. And between the two, they had very good statistics. And I think that's what Roger Craig was counting on again this year, and it hasn't happened.
Center field, Shelby, this time a little more routine in that great grab he made in the previous inning, and there's 1 down. Well, coming into this game, Melvin, guy who was just erased, was hitting 191 and Brenly 182. So that's not the kind of average you want. However, they've never hit well for average. It's just been the long ball.
Well, Bob Brenly has been a guy that's produced runs for the ball club. Bob can run well. He runs well for a catcher. He can hit and run. He can hit for power. He's been able to do a few things. He just does not hit for a high average, as you mentioned. But he can produce runs for you, and that's what you want from your catchers, run production.
1 down, Uribe, who flied out to center field the first time. Third base, Hamilton has it this time. 2 down, and Downs will come up. Sunday, be with us as ABC Sports will bring you live 76th Olympic gold medalist Howard Davis challenging defending champion Buddy McGirt for the IBF Junior Welterweight World Championship. Then following boxing, the second leg of the International Race of Champions. 30 laps. Right here on ABC. Downs up with 2 down. Downs the first time, went down swinging back in the third inning. 1-1. Should it continue, it'll be Butler up next. Left field, Gibson. And that'll do it. 3 up and 3 down. So we have played through 4 innings here in Candlestick. 1-0 San Francisco. We'll return after this message and news headlines from our local stations.
The natives are restless, building appetites at a fever pitch. It's summer hunger. Summer hunger. Unleash it at Burger King. Enormous summertime sandwiches, big burgers, a huge flame-broiled Whopper, icy cold Pepsi. Summer hunger. When it strikes, only Burger King can tame it. Must be feeding time. We do it like you do it at Burger King.
Listen to the heartbeat of America.
Now there's a powerful new reason to follow your heart. The new 4.3-liter V6 available in S10 Blazer. 28% more power than before and 50% more torque. The new 4.3-liter V6, the biggest engine ever offered in Blazer's class.
The heartbeat of America.
Chevy S10 Blazer.
Today's Chevy truck.
Somewhere, right now, there's a clean, crisp, ice cold, Beechwood-aged Budweiser with your name on it.
I'm Linda Shockler. Tonight on Cap 35 News, it's open season on politicians now as filing season officially opens. Those stories and more tonight after the game.
Top of the 5th. Kelly Downs protecting a 1-0 lead. Thus far, he's given up 2 hits as he'll face Dave Anderson and Valenzuela in the top of the order, Steve Sachs. Anderson started 59 of the last 60 games at shortstop for this ball club. High pop-up. Short center field. Butler calling him off, and he'll make the grab. Well, we talked about the rivalry. This guy has been on both sides of the fence as a manager here and a player for the old Brooklyn Dodgers. Roger Craig. 1955 to 61. His best year was in 59. He won 11 ball games. I don't think he threw the split-fingered fastball then, did he?
No, he didn't. The uniform fits a little better now.
Yeah,
also.
I was thinking that. Some of those pants they used to wear. I think about Jackie Robinson. He used to run so well in those baggy pants. Some guys probably shouldn't wear those tailored uniforms nowadays, right? Fernando looks a little better than his. It looks to me like he's lost some weight, has he?
Well, he's lost a lot of weight, I guess, a couple of years ago. But as his belt size has shrunk, his ERA has grown.
So what's the moral of that story? Ground ball second. Thompson. So with 2 out, that'll bring up Steve Sachs. Yankees again with a chance to pull into sole possession of first, but right now Milwaukee, who's 5.5 out leading. Minnesota 2-0 in the 5th. Still no score. Boston, Texas, Seattle, Chicago, and the White Sox leading that one, and Oakland starting a long road swing in Anaheim today. 2 down with Sachs, who struck out and doubled back in the 3rd inning. game moving right along. The outfield now, half shaded and half in the sun field. Starts him out with a strike.
And I think so far that's been the key to Kelly Downs' success. He has been able to get out in front of most of the hitters. And with his split finger, he can get you to chase a lot of bad pitches.
Downs was a 26th round draft pick for the Phillies. There's that sun we were talking about in right field that Maldonado is staring into right now. But Downs has been one of those guys that evidently they didn't look at him as being that great a prospect coming out of the state of Utah, but he's proved differently. 2-2.
They had both Kelly Downs and Kevin Gross in the Phillies organization, and of course Kevin Gross was on the All-Star team this year, and Kelly Downs is doing a good job here in San Francisco. Those two guys started off together, came along together, and both were highly thought of prospects at one time in the Philly organization.
2-2 with 2 out, and Sachs down the right field line foul. Well, Downs last year was 12-9 for San Francisco. He started out very well the first half of the year, winning 8 and losing 4. Then he moved to the bullpen when Al Rosen was able to acquire Rick Russell. Struck him out. So for the second time tonight, Sachs is down on strikes. That's 6 strikeouts for Kelly Downs. Downs leading at 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the 5th.
That's it? That's all? You gotta be kidding.
You're done. Sure? If you thought dental cleanings were easy with Tartar Control Crest,
Can't believe it.
they just got easier. Whatever's first. Introducing new and improved Tartar Control Crest.
You're all done? No.
The new tartar fighting formulas can actually help stop tartar before it starts. Piece of cake. Tartar Control Crest, the dentist choice, is now harder on tartar and easier on you. Thank you very much.
According to the book, we got 3 minutes. Tonight, we're going to beat the book. Let's move out.
In today's field artillery, the emphasis is on training and motivation, because a high-tech system like this Army rocket launcher is only as good as the people who run it.
They're here. Arm rockets, fire. If we beat the book, Sergeant, we rewrote the book.
Here, you get to keep the sign. Okay, look at that.
When you choose someone to help you sell your home, you want it to be somebody you can trust. Maybe that's why Century 21 is the #1 home selling system in America. We know a whole lot about trust.
Come with us.
Get the picture?
Put your trust in #1. Century 21.
Feeding in fluids and minerals, supplying energy to working muscles. Nothing cuts through your thirst like Gatorade.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebates, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket, a great oil in your engine, and maybe a Porsche in your garage. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Joe, I got a little homework for you. See this baseball encyclopedia? I want you to take all of this, memorize everything in it, tell me what you know, and next week we'll put it all on the air in the next 30 seconds. There's a lot in here. One thing that's in here is nicknames of all the players through the years. And tonight we thought we'd have some fun with the nicknames as this game wears on, because in this rivalry, probably the Dodgers and Giants had as many nicknames as anybody.
Well, that's one thing in baseball that's changed a lot. There's not as many nicknames as there were before. There are not many guys called the Babe anymore.
How about Say Hey and Stretch and a few of those guys, huh? I don't know why that is. Why do you think there aren't nicknames like there used to be?
Well, players now are more sophisticated.
Oh, is that it?
Yes.
I didn't know you were that sophisticated.
I'm not playing now.
1 strike on Butler. Butler leading things off with Thompson and Clark. Bottom of the 5th inning, 1-0 San Francisco.
Did I ever tell you my nickname when I played for the Durham Bulls?
The Durham Bulls.
I played for the Durham Bulls in 1963. Little diminutive Jolton Joe.
Oh, I love it.
And then I shortened it after I got to the big leagues to Little Joe.
Oh, I thought you had the Jolton Joe.
No.
There is Butler making a pass at a bunt, and it goes outside 2-1. Mentioned Butler is just very good at bunting his way on. Attempted that back in the first, singled in the third, and he scored the only run of this ball game. Two and one. Right field hit high into the right field area. Marshall waiting a long time. One down. Well, let's talk about nicknames for a moment. Let's go to the Giants. We talked about this great history. Say Hey, that's Willie Mays. Stretch was McCovey. Who was the baby bull?
That was Orlando Cepeda.
And the Dominican dandy?
Juan Marichal.
And Dusty
Rhodes.
All right. Remember that home run he hit in short right field, the Polo Grounds in the World Series? Dave Pope was the right fielder. How's that for a little bit of trivia? Went up, couldn't come down with it.
I don't think I was born then.
I'm a lot older than you are, Joe. This business makes you that way. Strike called, it's 1-1.
I thought it was the hard slider that made you old.
How about Roger Craig? Did he have a nickname?
Well, they call him the Hum Baby now.
Yeah, but I wonder as a player.
Roger was before my time also.
Oh, come on now. Wait a minute.
I only played against Willie Mays and Sandy Koufax and Drysdale and guys like that.
Base hit for Thompson, his second of the ball game. He singled back in the third and has walked, so he is 2 for 2 tonight. They called him, we understand, Steve Dans, our producer, going to the encyclopedia, the Fox. How about Lasorda? You have a nickname?
Well, I would think maybe Pasta.
So here comes Clark with a chance to do some more damage. He has the only RBI in the ball game. Singled back in the third to drive home Brett Butler. Reached on an error back in the first. One down, a runner at first. Scioscia looking down at first at Thompson. Of course, talk about nicknames. Here's Will the Thrill. Hot the outside corner, evens up at 1-1.
It's a very good pitch from Valenzuela. A little slider low and away. There wasn't a lot that Will Clark could do with it, and he didn't want to swing at it with the count being 1 ball and no strikes.
Maldonado due next. One and two. Boy, I thought Valenzuela was going to go to first for a moment on that.
We're going to look at this pitch. He's fooled by this slider. You see, he thinks it's a fastball, and it breaks away from him, and he can't do anything with it.
The starting first baseman for the National League All-Star team, Will Clark. 1-2 on him. Misses, and it's even. 2-2.
At this stretch of the ball game, it seems that Valenzuela's slider is harder than his fastball. That was a good hard slider there. And only good discipline by Clark made him be able to lay off of that pitch. It was a short lead at first, and he breaks back.
Center field. Definitely playable. Shelby makes the grab, and there's 2 away. So, down at first with 2 out is Robbie Thompson. Maldonado, who had that great catch made against him back in the 3rd inning by Shelby, will come up. 0 for 2, called out on strikes in the 1st inning. Clark not happy. Like to have that pitch back.
Well, it was not as tough a pitch to hit as the one he hit the left field for his base hit that drove in the run in the 3rd inning. But he tried to do a little bit more with this pitch than the one in the 3rd inning.
Breaking pitch misses 1-0. Shelby playing Maldonado to shaded towards left center, even though the ball he caught was almost dead center field, a little bit towards the right field area. Lays off of it, and the count goes 2-0.
The last two screwballs are the best two screwballs he's thrown in the ball game. The first one was a slower one with a lot of break on it, and that one was a little harder, and it broke sharply.
If you're wondering, Thompson has not been very successful as a base runner. He's swiped 9, but he's been caught 4 times.
That's not a very good ratio.
Move to first. Valenzuela is convinced he's thinking about going. 2 down, 1-0. The Giants. Bottom of the 5th inning.
I don't believe Thompson will be running with Maldonado at bat, and he's ahead in the count. I think they'll give Maldonado a chance to try to drive one in the gap.
Now he's way behind, 3-0. Mitchell is due next.
In the middle innings, the reason that Valenzuela was so successful, I mean from the 2nd to the 4th, is that he was able to get out in front of the hitters. Now he's behind 3-0, and he doesn't really have a pitch to throw in this situation.
Line shot, left field, base hit. Thompson will make the turn at 2nd and hang on. So runners now at 1st and 2nd with 2 outs.
He had to come in with a fastball. And his fastball, he could not throw it 2-0 and 3-1 and be successful. It's a 3-0 pitch, and it's a fastball, and Maldonado tattoos it into left field, but Valenzuela cannot pitch 2-0, 3-0, and throw the fastball. He has to be able to come in with a different pitch.
6th hit of the game by the Giants. Mitchell grounded out, reached on an error back in the 3rd is up. 1-0 San Francisco. Soshin. Nobody holding the runners on, everybody playing back, so even though he bluffed the throw, there was no place to go with the ball. Infield is back with 2 down. 1-0 to count now on Mitchell. Thompson at 2nd. Maldonado at 1st. Caught by Anderson. Line drive, and so they're out of the inning.
It's a low fastball away from Kevin Mitchell, and he hits a line drive in the hole. It's a nice play. As you see, Anderson gets a good break. You see he's on his toes, and he makes the play.
Well, they leave 2 on and waste a couple of hits. We'll return to Candlestick Park after a word from our local stations.
30-something Tuesday.
When it gets hot, people will do just about anything to stay cool. They don't care what it is, as long as it's quick. But the smart thing might be to get a heat pump, because it not only heats in the winter, but it keeps you real cool in the summer. And now the really quick way to get a heat pump is to call an H-Pro dealer. He's a certified expert in heat pump applications. So call today for the dealer nearest you and get cool in a hurry.
My friends and I agree, nothing comes for free. So each of us works hard in his own way. Frank is fighting fires, and Bob is changing tires, and good old Bill's behind his desk all day. One thing keeps us going, the dream that keeps on growing. So rock this town and hear the folks all shout. We'll just stay right here and have one more reindeer. Giving up is not what we're about. The only beer to drink round here is reindeer. The only beer to drink round here is reindeer. The only beer to drink round here.
Donahue at 9 o'clock on Cap 35.
Roger Craig, well, we talked about his nickname. There it is. Hum Baby.
That's Roger.
Or the Fox when he was playing. Roger, 58 years old, 38th year of professional baseball, and his 3rd year with the Giants. Trying to successfully defend that National League West title. Be the first team since '78 to accomplish that. Stubbs to lead things off. Gibson and Marshall to follow. We've played 5, 1-0 San Francisco. Kelly Downs. Stubbs to left field. Aldretti, long run, and it drops in. It's going to drop in for a stand-up double. And the ball then hits Stubbs in the helmet. As a long run for Aldretti, playing the left-handed batter, he was shaded over to center, and he just couldn't get there.
Well, we talked about how they had to shift on Stubbs, and they were pitching him inside, and he looped the ball down the left field line. It's impossible for Aldretti to make the play so far over into left center field. And it's an automatic double for Franklin Stubbs.
Uribe, a long run from shortstop, was over there. So now, the 3rd hit of the ball game for the Dodgers.
And you will see a throw comes in. Robbie Thompson tries to block it. But it bounces up and hits Franklin Stubbs.
Well, we've had 2 plays in that corner, Joe. One by Gibson, who mishandled it, just misjudged it, didn't see it. And now this one. Anyway, the leadoff man is on. Gibson up. Gibson is walked once and intensely another time. And that ball gets by, and going to 3rd will be Stubbs.
Well, either Bob Melvin was fooled by the pitch, or crossed up, I should say, by the pitch, or he was fooled because Gibson runs up as if to bunt, and he starts out too soon. No, I think he's just fooled on the pitch. I think he thought it was going to be a split finger or something off speed, but it was a fastball, and he didn't get the glove up in time.
So a pass ball advances Stubbs to 3rd with nobody out.
And the Giants are playing the infield halfway on the right side, and halfway on the left side, meaning the second baseman and the shortstop. First baseman and third baseman are in at the corners.
Mitchell trying to hold Stubbs on. Clark checks a runner at 3rd. He'll go unassisted to 1st for 1 out. That'll bring up Mike Marshall.
You see Gibson still has the handle of the bat in his hand because he broke it, swinging at a split finger low and away, and it hit it off the end of the bat, broke his bat, and was not able to get the ball through the infield.
Dodgers, all 3 of their hits thus far have been doubles. Hamilton with the double in the 2nd, Sachs with 1 in the 3rd, and Stubbs here in the 6th inning. He's still at 3rd now with 1 down, and Marshall, who has popped up twice at the plate.
The Giants are playing the infield halfway because they can still throw Franklin Stubbs out at the plate from that position. He has average speed, not blazing speed. If you have a fast runner at 3rd, you cannot play halfway and still get him at the plate. You have to play the infield all the way in. And when you play the infield all the way in, your range is cut down and you give a guy a chance to drive the ball past you. In this situation, with it being halfway, you can still almost cover the same amount of ground, and you can also charge the ball and come to the plate.
1 strike on Marshall. Marshall last year had 6 RBIs here in Candlestick. Moose, 6'5", 218-pounder. Kelly Downs, after that ball dropped for a double, able to get Gibson on a ground out, now has an 0-2 count on Mike Marshall.
He needs a strikeout if he can get one here, and the place to strike Marshall out is a fastball up and in. But he may want to stay down the way to keep the ball on the ground.
That's center field. Butler to make the catch, tagging up the Stubbs, and he'll score easily. 2-0, Los Angeles.
That's a good piece of hitting by Mike Marshall. He just stayed with the pitch and got it into the outfield. And he drives in the run from third base, ties it up, and he gets his congratulations from his teammates.
That's his 58th RBI. As Shelby will come up. Shelby has struck out twice. 2-0 now. I'm sorry, 1-1. Outside. And the count now goes to 1 ball, 2 strikes. So Stubbs coming in with a tying run. Shelby looks back. He wants to see what he missed on that one.
Well, actually, he hit Bob Melvin's glove with his backswing. He let go with one hand, and he hit Bob Melvin with his backswing.
1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 out. Big cut. Shelby may be struggling a little bit after the injury, not playing all that much. Already struck out twice in this game.
Watch, this is a sinker. Watch how he lets go with his top hand, and the backlash hit Melvin the pitch before.
Grounded foul, and the count stays at 1-2. The Giants scoring their run in the 3rd. The Dodgers tying it up here in the 6th. Stubbs scoring on the sacrifice fly by Marshall. Struck him out. That's the 3rd time for Shelby in this ball game. So they pick up a run on a base hit. The RBI going to Mike Marshall. 1-1 at Candlestick.
We can help you make money. We can help you enter new markets and have a presence. We can help you become a major player in some type of environment. You have the idea. You start it. We'll help you finish it. Obviously, if you're starting a new business, there's something that you think you have to offer. But just having the better mousetrap doesn't necessarily give you market share. You have to understand, how do I take this great idea? How do I target it? How do I get to those folks that can probably and that want to buy? And how do I sort through, of all the people that are out there, of all the companies that are out there for my product and service, which is going to be my #1 target group? We can help you do that. We work with just hundreds of clients annually. And I'm sure we've worked with people in the industry that you're going in. And that would allow you to understand what works, what doesn't work, to get to that market share. What's it going to get you? Money. Isn't that what it's kind of all about in starting up a new business?
You've seen how the advanced full-size Chevy half-ton stands up to Ford. And recently, maybe you've seen Ford's answer. But what you haven't seen is the latest news. Right now, full-size Chevy sales are on a rocket and growing faster than Ford's, which just goes to prove America knows a hot new truck when they see one. Make your switch to Chevy now with $500 cash back.
That's a Dave Chevy truck. The NFL preseason kicks off when the Cincinnati Bengals meet the Los Angeles Rams in the Hall of Fame game live Saturday on ABC Sports.
Los Angeles Rams expecting a lot from Jim Everett, their quarterback. Getting some very good experience at that quarterback spot for John Robinson's club. Well, we had the best line, and here comes the dreaded worst line of the week, and it revolves around Mets pitcher Ron Darling.
I mean, this is definitely the worst line of the week. We've had 2/3 of an inning, 5 hits, 9 runs, 5 earned, and we see a home run by Chris Sabo. And I think the interesting thing, after the ball game, Ron Darling said now he knows how Michael Spink felt going against Michael Tyson that time. He said he only lasted 2/3 of an inning, and he was beat up pretty badly.
Oh, he lasted a little longer, though, didn't he? Aldretti to lead things off. He's walked, lined out. He'll be followed by Melvin and Uribe. 1-1 our scores were the bottom of the 6th inning. Fernando, the last time out, went 5 innings. 3 previous times to that, he went 7. So here we go into the bottom of the 6th. He went 9 innings way back April 28th, and also on on the 8th of June. Last time he's pitched a full 9 innings. Aldretti hangs on, and it's 3-0. Melvin, who has a base hit in this ball game, up next. There's the strike, 3-1. 1 run, 6 hits for the Giants. The Dodgers, 1 run, 3 hits. They've committed 2 errors. Foul back.
And there you see Fernando going to the slider 3-1 instead of throwing the fastball. He was able to get it over the plate this particular time. But when you have to throw 3-1 sliders and 3-1 breaking balls, you're going to end up walking a lot of guys, and that's why he has walked a lot of players. This will be another slider.
Grounded down, and the count stays now and goes to 3-2. 3 balls, 2 strikes. How come he's not wearing his glasses now?
Good question.
You get through so many innings, you get rid of them, huh?
Going to throw another slider, and he hangs it. Aldretti fouls it back.
So it's full still at 3-2. I wonder why he does take those glasses off. I think I watched a game earlier this year. He did the same thing.
He's going to stay with the slider on Val. There it is, blowing away. And I think that's one of the reasons he's walked far more hitters this year than in strikeouts, because he throws the breaking ball so often late in the ball game.
Well, we talked about Giant nicknames. Let's look at the Dodger nicknames through the years. That's, of course, Harold Henry, Pee Wee Reese. The Big D was Don Drysdale. James William Gilliam, the outstanding second baseman. Junior, the Lip, Leo DeRocher, and the Duke.
And everybody knows Mickey, Willie, and the Duke.
That's right. My kids have been singing that song for years. So the leadoff man has walked, and we have timeout called.
Bill Fahey was calling timeout at third base because they're going to use a pinch runner from Mike Aldretti at first base. And it'll be Donnell Nixon. He will come in to pinch run.
And this guy can run. He's one of the faster men you're going to see. He has a brother, Otis, playing with the Expos. So Donnell Nixon replacing Aldretti. Thought maybe Nixon would play. He's a right-handed batter to go against left-handed pitchers.
Well, he's played very well since the Giants acquired him from Seattle. And, I mean, he's stolen a few bases, but he's hit well. He's hit a lot better than people thought he would.
You know, this guy swiped 144 bases in a season in the minor leagues. One season. So he has the lead at first. Leadoff man on as Aldretti now leads the ball game after walking twice.
I think Vince Coleman stole 141 that year.
He broke it. I think he actually had 145, Joe. I think he broke the record by Donnell Nixon. That's a lot of stolen bases. Melvin at the plate. He's singled and flied out. I talked to Donnell before the game. I asked him if he had come back from a severe broken leg that he suffered a couple of years ago. He said he didn't lose a step because of where the break is, or was. Warming up activity now in the Dodger bullpen. Strike call.
It could be a little difficult for Donnell Nixon to steal a base as you see Tim Cruz warming up in the Dodger bullpen against Valenzuela, because he has not faced him. And he has not been at first base with Valenzuela pitching. And Valenzuela is a little unusual until you really can read him. You get a chance to see him a few pitches.
Grounded foul. Of course, Nixon's previous experience in the American League was Seattle, so he hasn't had a chance to see Fernando.
As I mentioned, Valenzuela is a little deceptive if you get over there and have to read him for the first time.
Nixon with 3 stolen bases. He's been caught 3 times. 0-2 to Melvin. 1-2. 1-1 our score. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning. Uribe. I asked Gunnell, who's faster, you or Otis? Nixon, of course, who plays for the Expos, says, I'm younger. I'm 3 years younger. He's been swiping a lot of bases for Montreal. Otis has. So Fernando trying to keep him at first after committing that cardinal sin of walking the leadoff man. He's walked 3 men tonight, Aldretti twice. The count stays at 1-2.
We talked about the Dodger-Giants rivalry at the beginning of this broadcast, and now you hear the fans chanting "Beat LA." They really hate the Dodgers here in San Francisco.
Can't have a rivalry without a little hate, right?
We'll get a look at Donnell Nixon and Valenzuela here.
He's convinced that Nixon's going somewhere.
Well, I think he's continuing to try to confuse Nixon. I don't think Nixon's been able to read him yet.
Joe, did you hate the Dodgers?
No, I never hated any team. I enjoyed playing against the Dodgers because they always had good ball clubs, and you had to perform well when you played them.
Inside, 2-2. So Nixon, if nothing else, is causing some concentration problems for Fernando on the mound right now.
There were individual players I didn't like.
Of course, not everyone liked you, right?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm sure there were a lot of individuals that didn't like Joe Morgan as well.
The Nixon studying Valenzuela, and Valenzuela studying the sign from Socia. Nobody out. 2-2 the count on Melvin. Bottom of the 6th, 1-1. He just reaches out, punches it to center field for a base hit, and bobbled by Shelby, and Nixon flying around third. He's coming home. Here comes the throw, and he's out.
Mike Socia can block the plate with the best of them, and he does a great job here. You see Nixon's flying around second. He's running all the way. Now he slows a step, but Fahey's is waving me in, but really it's not a smart play because there's no one out, and there you see Socia blocking the plate, and there's no way Nixon can get in. Watch, he blocks the plate completely. He's got it sealed off right now, and there's no way that Nixon can get to the plate. Excellent play by Socia, and I don't think it was a smart play by the Giants to try to send him with no one out.
Especially when Socia blocks the plate the way he does. He's like a man mountain. He's 225 pounds, and Nixon had quite a jolt. He just was abruptly halted.
That's one of the reasons you do not slide head first into home plate, because it's easy for the catcher to block you, and you can be injured very easily diving head first into home plate, because you're diving into shin guards and all the protection that Mike Socia has on.
Well, that was the 7th hit of the game. Bob Melvin is at first base after that. Nixon got to be checking to see if everything's still all together after that collision.
Yeah, I would think so.
So with one out, here's Uribe, who is 0 for 2.
But it's also a play right there where Bob Melvin should have gone to second base. Anytime there's a play at the plate, you will sacrifice an out to get the run home. if they cut the ball off and take you at second.
We'll score that one 8-4-2. Well, Shelby had a little trouble getting the ball, and Nixon never hesitated. This is outside.
Maybe one of the reasons that Fahey wanted to take the chance is because they're at the bottom of the order. Uribe is hitting 8th, and the pitcher would follow. But I still think you cannot risk taking a chance with a runner going home with no one out. He has to be able to make it very easily.
That was Fahey, the third base coach. He's in a role that Don Zimmer held last year, who, of course, now is the skipper of the Cubs. Well, you know Nixon could run, but, boy, that's just expecting too much.
Well, Fahey is an aggressive third base coach, and Roger Craig wants him to be so. But I think in this case it might have been just a little bit of over-aggressiveness.
2-0 to Uribe now with one down and a runner at first. 3-0. Kelly Downs due up next. Ron Baranowski on the phone right now. He had Cruz warming up earlier. And on 4 straight pitches, Uribe. Let's go now to New York for an update. Here is Corey McPherrin.
Thanks, Gary. Big night for Don Mattingly in New York. This 2-run homer puts the Yankees up 3-2 over Milwaukee. That's the way it ends. 3 hits, 3 RBIs for Mattingly. With the Tigers idle, the Yanks take over sole possession of first in the AL East. Back to San Francisco.
Okay, the Yankees are there. They made some changes with that acquisition of Ken Phelps. They had Mattingly in left field yesterday.
Which is unusual because Mattingly has been a Gold Glove winner at first base. And there's an old saying, when you make changes like that, you're really messing up 2 positions. Because Ken Phelps is not as good a defensive first baseman as Mattingly, and Mattingly's not as good a defensive left fielder as Ricky Henderson was.
Kelly Downs can help his own cause. Squares around as though to bunt, swings away instead. Hamilton to second for the force there. Moving to third on the play is Melvin, and reaching on the fielder's choice is Kelly Downs, 2 away. Tried to cross him up that time. Squared around like he was going to bunt, then kind of punched the ball.
Well, I think it's a good play, except Valenzuela makes a good pitch. It's a slider breaking in on the hands, and he couldn't hit it very sharply. Nice play by Hamilton, also by Steve Sachs, because he had no chance to get the double play. Uribe sliding in very hard.
So now we have runners at the corners. 2 down, and Brett Butler up. Butler scoring the only run thus far for the Giants. Back of the third. He is 1 for 3, a single in the third. Melvin is lead at third. Strike call.
Valenzuela has gone almost exclusively to the slider with the left-handed hitters in the lineup.
Coming outside with that one, it evens up at 1-1.
And as I mentioned earlier, I believe that's his best pitch against left-handed hitters.
Orozco and Cruz both up and throwing now for Los Angeles. 2-1. Brett Butler, numbers have been good. Second in runs scored in the National League. Second in walks. Hasn't really, Joe, I guess, caught the fancy of some people. Haven't gotten the accolades maybe he's deserved as the leadoff man, a position that they sorely needed filled by this guy.
Well, I think Butler does not do a lot of things spectacularly, but what he does do is put your numbers up. He gets on base and does a good job.
Now, Socia looking into the dugout, and they're moving Sachs over. The right-hander is Cruz. Orozco, the left-hander. 3-1.
And that's 4 straight sliders he has thrown to Brett Butler.
Sachs, they caddy in position where they want him now, a little bit shaded towards the first base side. And deep. 2 out. Starting to get a little.
We're having problems with our network video. Please stand by.
Again, he's very upset with Doug Harvey. As you see, Valenzuela thinks that that slider was a strike and the pitch to Brett Butler was a strike. Ron Peronowski is going to come out and try to calm him down. But I don't think they can do that. Fernando's very upset right now. There you see Ron Peronowski. We'll get another look at the pitch. Doug Harvey, you see, is set up on the inside, so normally National League umpires will make the call properly on an inside pitch. All right, one thing to remember here is not where Social catches the ball, it's where it crosses the plate.
Obviously, your good catcher will try to make it look a little better.
Right. And I think Valenzuela felt that the ball crossed the plate in the strike zone and then broke off after it went past the plate.
You know, this could be a critical stage of the season for this guy, Fernando. Just like you mentioned, doesn't get out of this jam. If he does,
well, I think that's exactly what Tommy Lasorda is thinking here.
2-0, 2 down, the bases full.
But he's got to make a good pitch here. And he got it. That's the first fastball he's thrown to the last 3 hitters.
Thompson taking all the way. 2-1 on Robbie. Melvin at third base. Downs at second. Butler at first. Al Peronowski got him settled down, it looks like. Peronowski, 7 years, the pitching coach for the Dodgers.
Valenzuela is a veteran. He's been through all of these things before. So he knows what he has to do in all these situations if he can get in.
Now it's full count, 3-2, bases loaded, 2 down. crowd on their feet.
Everyone will be moving.
Will they ever? He struck him out. Big strikeout for the left-hander. So we stay even after 6. 1-1 at Candlestick Park.
I'll get it, Alex.
Mel's Market. Here's your order.
What order?
Side of beef.
I didn't order.
Here's your delivery, sir.
What delivery?
Your Stroh's 30 packs.
Stroh's. Alex?
Nah. Stroh's and Stroh Light. Fire brewed for smooth, consistent taste. And with 30 packs, you get more beer.
Pardon? Pierre's Pet Shop. Here's your poodle. Oh.
Alex.
If breakfast were as it was meant to be, it would be a centuries-old balance of fruits, grains, and nuts. The breakfast Europeans called muesli. Now muesli comes to America as Kellogg's Mueslix. Oats, wheat, rice, corn, barley, raisins, dates, and hazelnuts. Kellogg's Mueslix. 5 grain or bran. What breakfast was meant to be.
Listen to the heartbeat
The new Beretta.
of America.
A sport coupe that prefers a curve to a straight line, with a special sport suspension to conform to roads that don't conform. And a price as uncommon as the car itself. Beretta. For people who appreciate the not so straight and narrow.
The heartbeat of America.
Beretta.
That's today, Chevrolet. Listen to the heartbeat.
ABC's Monday Night Baseball. This ABC Sports exclusive is being brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh Light. Now you're talking good times, and Stroh's has spoken here. Through 6, it's 1-1, and Fernando Valenzuela, with the bases jammed, was able to get out of it.
This is a touch of class, Gary, right here. This is a class pitch right there on the outside corner, down and away, and he's able to get it, pull it off.
His 3rd strikeout. Here's the reaction on tape by Lasorda. You mentioned it, said it very well, that that was a critical stage, not only of the game, but maybe of the season for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And I think that shows and how excited they are. You see right there, that's Fernando. You don't see him get that excited very often. But I think he knew also that that was a very important pitch that he was getting ready to throw.
Well, he walked 3 men and still was able to get out of that inning with a fine defensive play at the plate by Socha. Then striking out Thompson with the bases loaded, and here is Socha leading things off. He'll be followed by Hamilton and Anderson. How many times, Joe, have you seen Socha block the plate like that? Is there anybody doing any better than this guy?
No, and I was a victim on several occasions myself. He does an excellent job. He's probably the best that I've ever seen, and I always thought Bench was good. But I think Socha's a little better. He's got a little more body with him.
Tell you one guy that did block the plate one time, the wish he didn't, was Ray Fawcett. That all-star game and that collision with Pete Rose. 1-2. Well, of course, Nixon was the guy that was cut down at home. He now remains in the ball game in left field, replacing Aldretti.
What Socha does when he blocks the plate, Gary, is he shows you a little bit of the plate. He gives you something to slide at, so he knows where you're going. And then he's able to block you off from that point on.
Helps when you weigh 225 pounds, too. 2-2 on Socha. Downs with a 2-2 offering, and he fouls it back.
Downs has been very effective. He's done his a lot easier than Fernando, but the results are the same. 1-1 tie.
Thompson. The leadoff man is erased here in the 7th inning. Let's check the rest of the senior circuit. See what's going on. Well, look at this. Philadelphia now, after those home runs by the Mets, taking a 3-2 lead. Boy, Pittsburgh has not been able to make up any ground on the Mets, as St. Louis leading 4-1 in the 7th. Jeff Hamilton, who doubled in the 2nd and flied out back in the 4th inning, comes up. Outside to Hamilton. 1 for 2, doubling back in the 2nd. There is Pena. What a job he has done. Alejandro Pena, one of those many effective bullpen guys. They have 32 saves amongst them. Hamilton pops it up. Mitchell coming over. And there's 2 away. Well, let's get another update from the Ivy, Wrigley Field. Here's Al Troutwig.
Well, Gary, not only have they illuminated the field, but they've illuminated the scoreboard and, of course, the streets surrounding Wrigley Field as the Cubs practice under the lights for the first time. Billy Williams, Ernie Banks, and Ryan Sandberg could not hit the first home run out under the lights. That honor goes to Andre Dawson. Now back to you, Gary, where a night game is no big deal.
It still looks strange over there to see Wrigley Field under the lights. So Dawson will hit a few more home runs that part before it's over. There's a swinging ground ball, and Downs, good play. Had to sidearm that one to Clark. It's a 3-up and 3-down inning. So Roger Craig, who feels that they're going to win at least 3 of the 4 in this series, has it even at 1.
Yes, sir.
Listen carefully. If we don't make cases, they will lose the account and go back.
This won't happen if you use our free phone card. For fiber optic long distance that sounds the best and costs less, call 1-800-US-SPRINT.
People who count on my brakes are important to me. So the people who work on my brakes are important to me.
The people who work on your brakes at Midas are trained brake experts. Remember, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Sorry, Alex. You know the rules, buddy.
Let me have a steer of tab. About my monthly tab. Seems really high.
No, that's right. Looks high to me.
Maybe you shouldn't let your buddy use it.
My buddy. Brown hair, wears it long.
Is he short?
Yeah. Talks funny, too. Woof. Says that a lot.
Stroh's, fire brewed for smooth, consistent taste.
It's the peanuts right out of the bowl, too.
Teach your team to play the right way with Major League Baseball's A Coaching Clinic. It's a great training video for coaches, dads, and moms, and a great learning video for individual players. To order your VHS copy, send check or money order for $19.95 to Major League Baseball, Box 88, Trenton, New Jersey, 08561. Or call 1-800-543-7800. New York and New Jersey residents add sales tax. The proceeding was furnished by Major League Baseball.
It's all even. 1 run apiece. San Francisco scoring their 1 run on 7 hits. They've left 10 men on the base paths, including a bases-loaded jam in the previous inning. Dodgers scoring their 1 run on 3 hits, all 3 of those doubles. And Fernando Valenzuela, who is in all kinds of problems in the last inning, continues on in the bottom of the 7th.
Well, I think last inning you saw why Valenzuela has been such a great pitcher over his career, because he was able to make the pitches he had to under pressure.
So coming up will be Will Clark, Maldonado, and Mitchell to follow. Will with a base hit and an RBI back in the 3rd inning, reached on an error and flied to center. Misses outside. Been a lot of comparisons made, Joe. This guy with Ted Williams and all of the great ones through the years. Time, of course, has to prove an awful lot.
I personally think that Will Clark is a very fine hitter, and he's going to be a great player for a long period of time. But Ted Williams is special and was special. And Ted Williams may have been the greatest hitter to ever live. So I'm not quite ready to make those types of comparisons, but I think he is going to be a great hitter.
One thing he's done, according to Roger Craig, is develop some patience for the off-speed pitch. And in a case like with Valenzuela, that's very helpful. 3-1 to him. Center field, Shelby back. A lot of room. One down. Well, let's check the American League. The Yankees, of course, moving into first place. 3-2, defeating the Brewers. That's coming out of Yankee Stadium. Toronto leading Minnesota 4-2. Look at this, Joe. 7th inning. Clemens and Charlie Huff. 0-0. And Boston looking for their 12th straight win. Oakland, California later. Oakland, of course, watching that Minnesota game very closely. Maldonado is up. He has singles. Sent Shelby to the fence in center field and was called out on strikes.
If Charlie Huff is able to pitch the remainder of the ball game and even beat the Boston Red Sox, I'd like to see how they play for the next 3 or 4 days, because a knuckleball pitcher can put you in a slump very quickly.
And it'll be interesting to see how they recover when their winning streak is broken, if in fact that does happen. Joe Morgan of the Red Sox.
Right.
He's been getting some of your mail and vice versa?
Yeah, I didn't get any of his, but he also got a bottle of champagne that was intended for me in 1983.
Oh, 83.
I didn't know about it until today.
I thought maybe this year. 2-1 now on Maldonado.
That was a 1983 World Series. I hit a home run in Baltimore, and someone sent me a bottle of champagne, and they sent it to the wrong room.
Line foul. 2-2. Well, Joe Morgan of Boston has really earned the right to be a manager. He was 16 years as a minor league skipper. The Red Sox have come right back into the pennant chase. They were 9 games out at the All-Star break, now a game and a half.
If you can put a winning streak together, you can catch up in a hurry. And that's what someone in the National League West will have to do if they're going to catch the Dodgers.
Full count. There is Danny Heath.
Valenzuela is scheduled to lead off the 8th inning for the Dodgers. He's the first scheduled hitter, and Danny Heath is loosening up in case they want to use a pinch hitter.
They've had activity in that bullpen for the last 2 innings. Maldonado hit that one off the fist, and Anderson can't time it. It's in for a base hit. Second hit of the game for Maldonado. Mitchell will come up. Mitchell 0 for 3 in a ball game. So 8 hits in a ball game now for San Francisco. Pena, Cruz continuing to warm up for Los Angeles, and as we saw a moment ago, Heath may lead off in the next inning. Steps off. Nixon is due up next. It'll be his first time at the plate.
Like any smart pitcher, Valenzuela does not forget about the runner at first base. I'm sure he doesn't feel that Maldonado's going to run, but he wants to make sure that he knows he's there, as you see Tim Cruz and Alejandro Pena continue to throw in the Dodger bullpen. A lot of times you see late in the ball game a pitcher will forget about a guy who doesn't normally steal bases, and all of a sudden he takes off. Valenzuela's not going to let this happen.
Fly ball, left center field, going back deep. Shelby going back, and that ball is out of here. A 2-run home run. Mitchell, 13th home run of the year. A 2-run blast. Mitchell has had a string of home runs. He had 3 home runs in 3 straight games earlier this year. Ground ball by Nixon. Anderson for the second out. So after he got out of the jam last inning, he doesn't get out of it this time.
Well, Mitchell is probably the best hitter against mediocre stuff on the Giants ball club. By that I mean Valenzuela can't throw the fastball by him inside. He can't fool him with the off-speed stuff. So he has a better chance of hitting him than anyone else, I would believe, on the Giants for the long ball in this situation. There you see Maldonado. He knows it's gone right away, and so does Kevin Mitchell.
Well, he got himself in position to score ahead of Mitchell. That off-the-fist little blooper to left. So
I think at this point in the ball game, Valenzuela is really throwing on guts rather than having good stuff. And I think that's why I said he's down to a mediocre fastball now.
Well, Melvin lines out to Gibson. But the Giants have erupted for a pair of runs, and they lead it 3-1 after 7.
Lafitte, Louisiana and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Lafitte means flat bottom boat racing and a Cajun feast that'll set your mouth on fire. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer, cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place, an Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
It doesn't get any better than this.
It took 2,000 years, but a revolutionary discovery is changing the way men think about coloring their gray hair. It's called Just for Men, from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men, and in 5 minutes, shampoo out. Your gray is blended away, leaving your natural-looking color. 5 minutes. Here, look at me. Just for Men leaves your hair looking healthy and fuller, and it won't fade or wash out. Just for Men, in the men's hair care section.
Somehow there's got to be a cure for athlete's foot.
Hey, step up to the mic.
Mike.
Mike is it? This cures athlete's foot. It's got something the others don't. Myconazole. There's nothing more powerful.
Yes? You got something that cures athlete's foot?
Sure, step up to the mic.
Huh?
Mycotin. It cures athlete's foot.
Step up to the cure. Step up to the mic. Mycotin, also in deodorant spray.
It seems like yesterday the Miller girls were in their strollers. Today things are changing. I'm State Farm Agent Dee Ray. After Shannon and Stephanie came along, the Millers needed our family insurance checkup. I showed them ways they could update their family coverage to cover their bigger family. Like every State Farm agent, I work with a family to help keep their insurance up to date. Keeping up with the girls, that's their job. And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
There's the guy that's the difference of the ball game right now. Kevin Mitchell, 2-run home run, his 13th of the year. As we go to the top of the 8th, Danny Heap will lead things off now for the Dodgers. Fernando Valenzuela will be coming out of the ball game as he'll pinch hit for Fernando. He's 2 for 24 as a pinch hitter, Heap is. He hit very well when he was playing for the injured John Shelby. Hit 400 during 3.5 weeks when he was filling in. Looks at a call strike, and it's 1-1. Heap, of course, was an outstanding pinch hitter for the New York Mets back in '86. Won that World Series against Boston. Grounded first base side. Clark. And Heap is erased. So Kevin Mitchell, let's look at it once again.
And it's a belt-high pitch, and he knows it's a home run right now. And in fact, he'll stop and get a high five from Dusty Baker at first base. And there you see Fernando leaving at the end of the 7th inning.
Fernando going 7 innings, giving up 3 runs, 9 hits, walked 5, and struck out 3. Got out of 1 bases-loaded jam, and then the Giants came back the next inning on that 2-run home run to take the lead 3-1. Sacks, 1 for 3, struck out twice, doubled back in the 3rd inning. Downs looks like he's still throwing pretty hard out there.
Well, Downs throws very well, And if he's hot, he can throw it for the whole 9 innings.
Well, we mentioned 2 strikeouts. He goes 3. You can see how unusual that is. 1 ball, 1 strike. Foul back, and the count goes to 1-2. The Giants got off to such a miserable start after the All-Star break. They lost 5 in a row after winning 5 before the Classic. Just almost went in reverse.
Well, they won 5 ball games at home before the break, but then they started the second half on the road, and Pittsburgh was very hot.
Interestingly enough, Sosha was saying that one thing we have to avoid is a long losing streak. That's the thing that could really take you out of it. Slicing foul, and the count stays a 1-2.
And usually the thing that will keep you from having long losing streaks is a good pitching staff, because you'll get a good pitch ball game, as the Giants have been able to do from Big Daddy Rick Russell. There you see Franklin Stubbs, he's on deck.
He has scored the run for the Dodgers back in the 6th inning. A little delay in the action. A ball was down their right field line. They had to get it out. 1-2 now with 1 out on Steve Sachs. That's into left field for a base hit. His 2nd hit of the game. Well, we saw the home run by Kevin Mitchell. There was another big home run in 1982. Joe Morgan, the Joe Morgan here, hit this home run off of Terry Forster, knocking the Los Angeles Dodgers out of the race. It was the last game of the season, Joe.
Well, you know I don't forget things like that. It was a great moment, actually, in my career, one of the highlights of my career. I think it was very important at that particular time for the Giants organization.
You remember every one of those, don't you?
Well, I remember every one that was meaningful like that won a ball game.
So the home run, knocking him out. Last game of the season right here in Candlestick.
Fernando started that ball game as well.
Stubbs looks at a called strike. 1 down, a runner at first, Steve Sachs. Stubbs will be followed by Gibson. We're in the top half of the 8th inning. 3-1, San Francisco. Just forgot that the Giants had their uniforms like that. They, like a lot of teams, went to different looking uniforms and went back to the traditional uniforms.
Well, I like the traditional uniforms anyway, but I think the Dodgers are probably the only team that has not really changed much over the years.
And the Yankees.
Yes.
Inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. I understand the Blue Jays are going to change their uniform after this year.
They're going to take the Blue Jay off? The bird, I mean?
I think they're going to keep the insignia, but I'm not sure what happens after that. I think the Giants, weren't they voted a couple of years ago as having the best uniform?
Yes. Especially, I think, the road uniform.
Sachs down at first. 1-1 on Stubbs. 1-2. I'm a traditional guy. I'd like to see him stay with that. Everything went to the sleeveless uniform for a long time. Of course, Charlie Finley had a different uniform every year. The A's have gone back to their old uniforms, where they used to be. At least the traditional cut.
There you see Kelly Downs has only given up 1 home run, which means he keeps the ball in the ballpark, and that's what he needs to do here with Franklin Stubbs.
Big cut by Stubbs. He got a piece of it. 1-2.
The Giants have a 2-run lead, but it's not safe by any means. The Dodgers have the middle of their order coming up with only 1 down, and Kurt Gibson will be followed by Mike Marshall, so it's not over yet.
move back to first. Sachs back in easily. They're starting to throw in the Giant bullpen right now. 1-2 to Stubbs. Boy, he got him fishing for something there. Well, you were watching the play between Downs and Sachs at first, and Steve Sachs talked about Downs' move.
Kelly does have a pretty good move over at first base. It's usually one or the other. A guy has a good move to home or a good move to first. And I think his better move is over to first base. And we're going to give him a try, though, if we need to steal a base, because at times he can give you a big leg kick to home plate. And when he does that, then you got a chance to steal a base on him.
So with that thought in mind, Sachs is still down there at first. Now with 2 out, that was the 8th strikeout by Kelly Downs. The second time he struck out Stubbs, and here is Gibson. Gibson walked twice and grounded out.
Well, I don't think this is a situation where the Dodgers would like for Steve Sachs to steal. They're 2 runs down, and they had Franklin Stubbs up, who hit over 20 home runs last year, and you have Kirk Gibson up, who is capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. They can tie the ball game with 1 swing, so I'm sure he'll stay there.
Speaking of ties, that strikeout by Downs ties his career high of 8. He gets the strike on Gibson. You can see why the potential on Kelly Downs is always talked about. Throws hard. Had good location all night long. Grounded foul. He's way ahead of Gibson now, 0-2.
Valenzuela went almost exclusively to the slider in the latter part of the ball game. Kelly Downs is going to the split-fingered fastball. But the hitters have to keep in the back of their mind that he does have a 90-mile-an-hour straight fastball as well.
On Kirk Gibson. Thompson. Robbie Thompson covering a lot of ground out there. So the base hit by Sachs, not able to keep him going. We'll return to Candlestick Park after this message and news headlines from our local stations.
Black Rock, Nevada, and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. Black Rock means land sailing, riding the wind across dry desert lakes, and Old Milwaukee means a great beer, cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer, and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place, and Old Milwaukee beer.
Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light.
You know, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
Toyota. It's advertised as who could ask for anything more. Nissan. They say it makes you feel like driving. Honda states that they make it simple. So why are so many of these make it simple, who could ask for anything more, make you feel like driving automobiles being traded in on the new 4-door Chevy Corsica and the new Chevy Beretta Coupe? Time marches on.
Pushing hard, breaking through, 'cause good isn't good enough for you. Wash and go.
It's shampoo plus conditioner in one. For control you can't get from ordinary shampoo.
You got it together,
Hair's clean, easy to manage.
ready to roll. Wash and go.
Shampoo, conditioner in one.
I'm Linda Shockler. Tonight on Cap 35 News, it's open season on politicians now as filing season officially opens. Those stories and more tonight after the game.
Bottom of the 8th, the Giants 3, the Dodgers 1, and Joe Morgan and I will be back here at the Stick a week from tonight to bring you Houston, San Francisco. Some of you will see the Pittsburgh, New York Mets game. Those young upstart Pirates. Right here on ABC's Monday Night Baseball. The Mets thought at one time they're going to put that National League East away, and Pittsburgh wouldn't let that happen. New pitch now, new pitcher, I should say, for the Dodgers. Tim Cruz comes on. In relief of Fernando Valenzuela, he is 3-0 with an ERA of 2.49. This is his 25th appearance, and Uribe will lead things off against him.
Well, I think Jose Uribe is now hitting from the left side. He's a little better hitter from the left side because he can use his speed a little more.
Uribe 0 for 2 and fouled back. Third base side, Hamilton giving chase. And he runs into the usher, and the usher is going to feel that one tomorrow. I should say security guy. And he says, wait a minute, this is a non-contact job. Hey, do you think there'll be a court case over this one now?
I think he's hurting a little bit here. He's trying to get out of the way, as you'll see here. Now he stumbles.
He hit hard. I'm not laughing at him, but he did hit hard.
You know, speaking of that, Pedro Guerrero was in Albuquerque, and he played the last couple of ball games there, Saturday and Sunday. He hit a home run his first night there, but he's a little sore, he said, from playing those first couple of ball games. So the Dodgers are looking forward to getting him back shortly.
Count on Uribe, 2-1. Downs is up and has his warm-up jacket on the on-deck circle. Uribe pops it up. Short center field. Anderson going back. There's one out. So Downs will continue here in the bottom of the 8th inning, and he'll come up after striking out, reaching on his fielder's choice and flying to left field. Well-reserved or well-deserved round of applause. Looking for his 10th win tonight. Thus far, Downs has given up 4 hits. He struck out 8, which we mentioned ties his career high, and he's walked 2. 1 ball, 1 strike. Had a turnaround at the plate. Strike 2 call, 1-2. Tim Cruz is one of those guys that came over in the trade with the Brewers. He, along with Tim Leary, for Greg Brock. What a trade that was for Los Angeles. Right back to him. Nice stab by Cruz. 2 away. Butler will come up. Brett Butler with a base hit and a walk. Grounded out and flied out thus far.
Gary, we've talked about the changes in the wind here at Candlestick. Now look at the flag. It's almost completely still here.
Joe Arango, one of the members of the Giants family, passing away, and the flag at half-mast. 73 years old.
He was in charge of the Giant Speakers Bureau as well, and he always introduced the singer for the national anthem each day here at Candlestick Park.
30 years of service with the Giants. That misses as Butler squares around, and the count's even at 1-1. We mentioned Cruz coming over in that trade with Milwaukee. The bigger story has been Leary. He has 4 shutouts this year for the Dodgers. What a find he has been. One time a great prospect to the Mets organization. And coming over from Milwaukee and found the split-fingered fastball in Mexico. So he, along with this guy, has really bolstered the Dodger pitching corps. 2-1. Scioscia quickly pounces on it. And it's a 3-up and 3-down inning. Boy, Scioscia is really quick for a big man, isn't he? After 8 now, the Giants lead the Dodgers 3-1. We'll return to Candlestick Park after a word from our local stations.
More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. Expect the world of ABC News.
The Yakima Dodge July Jamboree is in progress now. Use our unique $2,000 cash certificate toward your down payment and own this freshly traded in 1986 Toyota 4x4 station wagon for only $129 per month. Or this 1985 Honda Accord LX for an incredible $139 per month. Come in today and receive your $2,000 certificate. Good on any vehicle in stock. Yakima Dodge July Jamboree, 1710 South 1st Street, Yakima.
Kentucky Fried Chicken has put the fun into summertime with their new $10.99 Summer Fun Pack. It's enough chicken and fixins for any occasion. For just $10.99, you get 12 pieces of finger-licking good Kentucky Fried Chicken, large creamy coleslaw, plenty of mashed potatoes and gravy, and 4 fresh buttermilk biscuits. Why, it's a ready-made picnic. KFC has something special for every summertime occasion, and that's worth celebrating. Get your Summer Fun Pack now, only $10.99 at Kentucky Fried Chicken.
We do chicken right.
They started as pen pals, then romance bloomed, and soon Beverly Shoemaker was hopelessly in love. But her boyfriend was behind bars for murder. Prison walls would not contain her love. Police say she staged a spectacular helicopter raid to spring her lover, a crime for passion, in broad daylight. Now they could be apart for a long, long time.
Tomorrow night at 6:30 on channels 35 and 42. The Newhart Show at 7 on Cap 35.
Well, Kelly Downs would like to close it out here. He'll face Mike Marshall, John Shelby, and Mike Socha. 3-1 San Francisco. Marshall thus far in the ball game 0 for 2. He did have a sacrifice RBI back in the 6th inning. A change defensively for the Giants now. Chris Spire has come in at third base defensively for Kevin Mitchell. Uribe. Leadoff man is gone here in the ninth. John Shelby, who has struck out 3 times in this ball game, will come up. Strong performance by Kelly Downs thus far through 8 1/3. He's given up 4 hits, struck out 8, walked 2. Hanging on here, he'll go into double figures with 10 wins. Shelby has been mystified by him today. Straight back.
Downs has been able to get the fastball up and in on Shelby, and that's a tough spot for Shelby to handle a good fastball. And then he's been able to throw the split finger fastball down and away. So he's pitched very well to Shelby tonight. He's pitched well to all the Dodgers, but especially well to John Shelby. Right there. So up and in and down and away.
That shows you the inconsistency on Downs.
Well, he's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. That's basically the best way to put it.
Check swing by Shelby, and the count goes to 1-2. That's almost a maddening thing, I'm sure, for Downs, is the people keep saying what a great pitcher he could and should be, and at times is.
He's definitely been great a lot of times this year.
The beginning of a 4-game series, the final stop on this 15-game road trip for the Dodgers. Second base, Thompson.
Well, he stays away from the golden sombrero anyway.
The Mets, after leading early in that ball game, lost it. Darling. The loser, Scarberry and McReynolds had the home runs early, but there wasn't enough. So Pittsburgh can move closer. 2 down, and the batter is Mike Socha, 0 for 3 in the ball game, and Downs finishing strong. He has 4 complete games, and he's 1 out away from his 5th. That's going to make it into center field for a base hit. So Socia with his first hit of the ball game. 5th hit of the night for Los Angeles. Boy, I tell you, the Giants get Lacoste, Bruco, and Dravecki back. Get Downs and Russell continuing on. That's a lot of pitching.
I'm not sure, as we see Mike Davis is going to pinch hit for Jeff Hamilton, but I'm not sure that they will be able to get Dravecki back and Lacoste back in time, you know, for the pennant race. I think they're going to have to go with what they have, or Al Rosen is going to have to come up with another pitcher or two someplace else. And Alfredo Griffin is going to make his first appearance here in a long time. He's going to pinch run for Mike Socia.
Well, that's the way Tommy wanted to get him started. Just bring him in, incorporate some activity for him, not necessarily as a starter. So here he comes at first, replacing Socia, and Mike Davis, who's been hitting a little bit late, a little bit better as of late, coming on as a pinch hitter. So Downs looked like he was going to breeze through this inning. Ground outs by Marshall and Shelby. All of a sudden, Socia keeps it alive for Los Angeles. The tying run at the plate, represented by Davis. Davis this year with 2 home runs. That's the way the Dodgers have been. They've come from behind a lot this year. They've been a tough late-inning ball club.
Well, they have a lineup that's set, and they also have some guys coming off the bench that can do a job for them.
They've had 20 come from behind victories this year.
And that's being able to utilize your players late in the ball game, I think, is the reason that you come from behind a lot of times late. Lasorda makes the right moves down the stretch.
Here's a guy that's put a lot of pressure on himself, signing that big contract. Going down to second is Griffin. He doesn't even draw a throw. He goes in standing up.
A lot of times they will not score that as a stolen base. If the defense is indifferent to what you're doing at first base, they oftentimes will not credit you with a stolen base.
There was no contest on that one. Now it's 2-0 on Davis. Davis, as a pinch hitter this year, is 2 of 15 with 1 home run. He has not given a stolen base, he being Griffin. But he's in scoring position with 2 out. And that one is going to be kept in front of him. Melvin, good job to keep Griffin from going to third.
A lot of people say you shouldn't steal the base when you're 2 runs behind like that, but what it does is takes away the force at second base, and it makes the defensive team have to make the play all the way across the diamond. We'll get another look at a good job of blocking the pitch by Bob Melvin. You can see he gets his entire body in front of the ball, keeps it in front of him, and that's what you want to do as a catcher.
So a shaky moment now for Downs. 3-0 to Davis. He had the green light. You're shaking your head.
Well, it's not very often when the guy's hitting .213 with 2 home runs, he gets a chance to swing at 3-0. But Lasorda wanted to give him a shot at tying the ball game. I can understand why he did it.
3-1 on the way to Davis. 3-2. 1 strike away from a complete game and a victory. Kelly Downs. 8 strikeouts. 1 more to be a career high for him.
And the fans are up for it.
Fly ball, right field. Going back, Maldonado on the warning track, and it's over. Kelly Downs with his 5th complete game of the year. His 10th win of the season. As the Giants open up this 4-game homestand with a victory. We'll be back to wrap it up from Candlestick Park. Strong performance by Kelly Downs. The Giants win it 3-1.
Tony, what are you eating now? Fruitful Brand.
Yeah, it's peaches and raisins.
Hey, Tony, that looks good.
It is. It's Fruitful Brand. It's apples and dates.
You just said it was peaches and raisins.
Well, it was.
Don't lie to your father.
Well, now it's raisins, apples, and dates.
Didn't you just tell your mother?
Hey, it is apples and dates.
Give me the box, Rosa. I'll decide.
Only Fruitful brand has so many fruits, you get a different fruitful combination in every bite.
It's peaches, raisins, and dates.
Kellogg's Fruitful brand. It's never the same bite twice.
If you think you've heard all there is about aspirin, think again. Today, there's an even better aspirin formula, Anacin. Clinical tests show that Anacin relieves headache pain better than regular strength aspirin.
Anacin, a better aspirin formula.
If you think you might need some new hand tools, think about this. Sears Craftsman hand tools are built so tough, we guarantee them forever. And we mean forever.
Fly fishing for cutthroat trout on the Snake River and the great taste of Old Milwaukee beer.
There's nothing like the flavor of a special place and Old Milwaukee beer.
Fella, it just doesn't get any better than this.
These are the hands of Mr. Goodwrench. Hands with the know-how to fix things. Hands of skill. Hands that care. The working hands of Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better. No one.
Chevy S10 invites you to own this real estate with the biggest engine ever offered in a compact 4x4. The most V6 power and torque available in a compact truck. V6 power to make your heart beat faster than ever.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
It's the Quaker State Porsche Sweepstakes and Rebate, and everybody wins. Mail in the rebate by August 5th, and you'll have $360 per case in your pocket, a great oil in your engine, and maybe a Porsche in your garage. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Speeding in fluids and minerals, supplying energy to working muscles. Nothing cuts through your thirst like Gatorade.
IBF Junior Welterweight Champion Buddy McGirt defends his title against Howard Davis live on Schlitz Malt Liquor Professional Boxing Sunday on ABC Sports.
Well, the L.A. lead has faded somewhat, as now the Giants move within 6 as Mike Davis, the pinch hitter, sends it to right field. Candy Maldonado on the edge of the warning track put it away. Kelly Downs with his 10th win. His 5th complete game will return to Candlestick Park. After a message and a word from our local stations.
I spend 3 to 5 hours a day talking to my clients on the phone, buying and selling for them. So when our phone system packed up the other day, it was impossible. It was a mess. I make my livelihood on the phone, my commissions. Without a telephone, I'm broke.
San Francisco defeating the Dodgers. Kelly Downs with the victory. 5th complete game, 10th win. Valenzuela, who went 7 innings, suffering the loss, 5 and 8. And the difference in the ball game, Kevin Mitchell's 2-run home run occurring in the 7th inning with Candy Maldonado aboard. And so Houston now moves within 5.5 of the Dodgers. San Francisco is 6 out. And it tightens up a little bit. And, of course, a week from tonight, Joe and I will be back here, and that same moon may still be here when we bring you the Astros and Giants here from the stick once again. But a very strong performance by Kelly Downs.
Well, as we talked at the beginning of the show, he's either going to be great or he's horrible according to his statistics. But most of the time I've seen Kelly Downs pitch this year, he's been a very good pitcher. He's pitched very well a lot of times and not gotten the decision. I think he actually could have won about 14 ball games if he would have gotten the support that he deserved.
Joe, on the other hand, Valenzuela, where does he fit in now after losing his 8th game?
Well, I think Valenzuela, after the 5th inning, was really just pitching on guts. I mean, he's just a tough competitor, and I think that's all he had. He didn't really have his good stuff tonight.
All right, 3-1 the score here. We'll return to Candlestick Park after this message and a word from our local stations.
A Cajun feast in Lafitte, Louisiana, and the great taste of Old Milwaukee beer.
There's nothing like the flavor of Becky's Place and Old Milwaukee beer.
It doesn't get any better than this. What's the secret to Pop Secret microwave popcorn? Perfect popcorn popped under perfect conditions, without a lot of unpopped kernels. Pop Secret from Betty Crocker. It's the only way to pop.
Susan Sarandon,
I destroy my bad luck.
Brooke Shields,
I'm taking her out of this because she don't want it.
and Eric Roberts. King of the Gypsies, Thursday.
How can you top trading one-liners with Jim J and Betty White?
Blabbermouth, now be all over time.
Working out with Little Richard times 2? Oh! You say you flipped over all the milking?
Oh, this is Bouloni.
The marrying?
Where's the beef?
And all the wheeling and dealing?
That's the problem, John.
Well, look out. Now there's more stars and more fun on the Hollywood Squares.
Woo!
Evenings on Channels 35 and 42.
Today, Chevrolet. By Old Milwaukee and Old Milwaukee Light. It doesn't get any better than this. And by Pert Plus. Shampoo plus complete conditioner in one. So you just wash and go. Thanks to our director, Bill Webb, our producer, Steve Dance, Peter Hurt, and George Hill as our statisticians and researchers. Stay tuned now for ABC's Nightline, following your local news over most of these ABC stations. Once again, San Francisco 3, Los Angeles 1. For Joe Morgan, I'm Gary Bender. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as a leader in sports television.
A promotional fee has been paid to ABC by United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.